Man, yeah. I sent you a picture of I can't find the the Zaid, but I sent you the I just went on to their website and just sent you the tax, the bill for the tax or 狗跟雅光. I'll look for the other house and I'll send that to you here too. Okay, fine. I'll print it out. Yep. Okay, I'll send you. I'll print those out. Okay. Bye. Bye. I'll be right back. Never comes back. He's back to Spain. What's up, guys? What's up? Elijah, what's up, my brother? Thank you for being here. Brent, what is up, my brother? What is up? Thank you guys for being here. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Yeah, I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I gotta say, like recently, you know that game I've been playing, Slay the Spire 2? I've been totally obsessed with that game. I've been really obsessed with that game. So it's weird. My God, to be honest, I just want to stream that game. I know it doesn't really get views, right? I know it doesn't really get any views or anything like that, but still, I've been loving that game. Right, I've been loving that game, so I have a crazy desire to just play that game. But you know, you gotta go on, be an adult. So really, that is crazy. So apparently, all KFC in Ontario serve halal chicken. This is the thing where when you're converting your country to, I don't know, fit other ethnicities or cultures, I think it might be a downward spiral. Okay. Because in my opinion, right, and we'll probably talk about that when we talk about what's going on in the UK. They're making efforts to try to change the culture, right? Try to change society to fit, let's say, Islamic principles. Which I'm like, this is the thing. We wanted to move to these countries. We wanted to be in these countries for a reason. And they took bacon off of the men. How dare they mess with bacon? I love bacon. How dare that's insanity. That is the insanity, and that's what I definitely have a problem with that stuff. And and in my opinion, right, I think it's liberals, Democrats, the left, or whatever, right, whatever you may be constituted as the left, for for these nations, they are allowing this to happen. They're allowing their society to be affected and changed. I think it's a dangerous path we are heading. Right? I really do. I really do think it's a dangerous path we are heading. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing. I definitely don't think it's a good thing. And I've said this before. It might be controversial, right? It might be controversial, but this is what keep these predominantly white countries white, right? White Christians or just Christian nations, right? Keep it predominantly Christian. Keep it a lot of times. Keep it predominantly white. Okay, I mean, definitely kick out white liberals, but there's a reason why so many people desire to immigrate, right? Be born in these kind of countries, and I think it's I definitely think it's a detriment that that certain group of people are trying to change and trying to, in my opinion, harm, you know, these nations. So I don't know. I think we're heading down a bad path. That's it. Now what I had scheduled, right? I don't know if it's going to happen, right? What I have scheduled was Zyrax, right? I wanted to continue the what you would call it, the kind of a debate or conversation with about how I believe Democrats and liberals, right? They want to destroy, they want to dismantle, okay, the Western world, particularly, America. So I don't know if she will be on tonight. I don't know if she'll be here. If she is, I would love to have a conversation with her. I mean, tonight I tried to gear the show to have a conversation with her, to have like a kind of a debate with her. So who knows if she's going to be here, right? Who knows? If she isn't, I guess we'll do something else, right? That's the problem when you have something kind of planned for these panels. And it's okay, right? I mean, people have their own lives, so it's understandable if people don't have the time or don't remember and stuff like that. It's not their show, right? It's mine, so it's understandable. I can't cuss out Islam. YouTube is auto removing my chats even when coded. Really? That is insane. The same thing with, you can't critique Islam, or it's so, I don't know, people hate it when you critique Islam, or I mean, even in protest, burn Islamic countries' flags. Yet, God forbid, they're burning American flags. So that is also a lot of BS right there. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I think it's crazy. I definitely think it's crazy that you can't critique Islam, but you could definitely critique America, and you could definitely critique Christians, which is quite funny. Quite funny. Um, let's I guess we could react to some videos. Guess we could react to some videos and check it out. I guess we could just check out some videos. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, if Zyrax does show up, we will do what I kind of scheduled the stream to be. But if she doesn't, it is what it is. It's okay. We could just react to this video and call it a stream. All right. Let's check it out. Jeremy. Sure you can. In my opinion, Islam as a fundamental structure for countries can lead to higher levels of human rights abuse in the name of faith because it can be interpreted as holy commandments. Here's my thing, right? It's the way you word it that gets YouTube. Oh, yeah. I definitely think, right? Here's my opinion, right? In my opinion, right? And yeah, on social media and protests, I personally have not seen anyone on the left actually criticize Islam. I haven't. Okay. I've seen more Democrats. I've seen more leftists, liberals support, you know, Islam than actually critique it, than actually, you know, have actual opinions about it. So I don't know. I mean, you say that we could, you say that we could, you know, have opinions on it or whatever, critique it, but I only see people on the right or whatnot actually have opinions or critical opinions on it. So, you know, I don't see people on the left actually saying anything that's, I don't know, necessarily saying like bad or anything, but actually holding denouncing anything about Islam, because that isn't critiquing. That's just okay, that's usually what triggers censorship. Yeah. Yo, Jeremy, you know what? I mean, I'm always down, right? I personal opinion, right? Personal opinion. I don't believe that our last conversation, right? You disproved what I said. Okay. I don't believe that our last conversation, you disproved what I said about how I believe personally, Democrats and liberals hate America. I don't believe that you actually disproved what I said. So, I mean, if you're always down,
to run for a third term, and there's a lot of concern about this. Why has he not explicitly said that he isn't?
He loves the attention.
It's funny. It is.
That's what he does.
He's triggered you.
A president should not be attention seeking.
So do I think DEI is productive? I don't. I think
Trump's presidency is a threat to democracy.
It's kind of ridiculous, right? So this question, which I believe a lot of people that are, the Democrats and the left feel is kind of idiotic. To say Trump's presidency is a threat to democracy is ridiculous, because that doesn't mean that what the, like, because if you said Trump's dictatorship, right? If you believe it's a dictatorship, that makes sense to a threat to democracy because those counteract each other. A presidency is literally elected. It's an elected official. The citizen elected him. So an elected official being a threat to democracy is what? Literally electing your official is an example of democracy. So that is, again, in my opinion, kind of the views of the left, right? The Democrats. No, I mean, I get it, right? Nothing, I mean, I wouldn't say that nothing you would say, right? To be honest, right? I've always said this. I'm very open-minded. I'm very open-minded. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's up to you, right? Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. Okay. I am I'm a very logical person in my opinion, right? It's all my opinion. I mean, it's all good, right? If you think that it's arguing with a teenager, I kind of think that it's actually an insult. So to say that, it's like arguing with a teenager and you're sorry, it seems like you're not sorry, right? I kind of feel like it's, see, this is a thing where I find, and I said this, right? I like Alan, right? I will say I like Alan, but yeah, you can be more emotional than you are logical, right? To say how, if you're talking to me, which let me say this, right? If you actually watched our last conversation, you talk more than me, right? So that's kind of funny, right? You talk more than me. So to say that I don't really see a point anymore, DA, it's like arguing with a teenager. It's funny when you're the one who talked more than me to say that it's arguing with a teenager when honestly, I barely said much, right? I barely said much. So it's like, I don't know. I just find it kind of hilarious. What's up? What's up, brother?
Hey man, I didn't mean that as an insult. Apology. Well, it sounds like an actual insult. I'm sorry.
It was an insult, but
I don't mean it in the way that I think you're like not a smart or logical person. I just think that you told me once and I didn't really take your word on it, how little you were willing to change your mind no matter what I presented you with. So
well,
I mean,
I mean,
I'm saying like it's not like you're a bad or stupid person, but like it's like trying to argue with a teenager who wants to go out on a Friday and you just saying, no, I don't think it's a good idea. But
that's the
why?
point where, see, this is the point where I feel like where you're dishonest in the sense or disingenuous because
Yeah.
you haven't seen my content, right? I believe, in my personal opinion, if you could make an actual logical pitch, because I gave you the argument, right? I gave you the view. I gave you the ideas that I see. You know what? If Zyrex not here, let me
Yeah,
let me.
I didn't need to join. I just
No, I'm just well, if you wanted to, right? Because I also think that that's how you view that, how you said
fuck
that.
it.
It's
I'm here.
obviously kind of
Okay.
strenuous in a way. So
Okay. I'll say this. I think that your idea, and this is not an insult, I think that your idea of American politics is skewed by the way that you consume it, Mr. DA.
how do you think that yours not skewed?
I think that I actually read things, no offense. I think that I
What do
do
you
watch your
what do you
I do watch your content actually quite often. I take notes on it. Not because
read?
I
Well, since you take notes, please give me an example of things that you believe I don't read, and
so
since you're more
I have to ask
interested,
this.
more ready.
So I commented on this earlier because I found it kind of absurd. You actually you honest engine? I guess I shouldn't say that positive, but you will swear on your grave and on your life that you actually read through that entire New York Times article
I did.
that you posted about,
I
and
did.
your conclusion was that the left is dangerous to America
No,
because
this
like one random like I think it's an interesting hypothesis. I don't even agree with
like
it.
let me I could build that argument for you, right? So here's my
I'm very curious. Yes.
okay, but I can say this, Alan, you do have a problem with talking over people where no one gets their point across because it's usually you're the one who's getting the point across. Now, why I said this, right? Again, I don't really mean that it's like the total party, right? So if I say Democrats or leftists, I don't mean 100%, right? I'm it's a very generality, a general kind of statement. So he's let's see, there was an article that a woman posted, and it was an older article, right? And I did read it. Okay, I did read it. It was a woman who viewed pedos, right, as a more of a mental disorder, right? Viewed it as a more mental disorder. And in her article, right, she says a lot of things, but it's boiled down to trying to normalize or get rid of the stigma. So it's not to say that pedos are just terrible human beings. but more like they have mental disorder that needs to be, that the government or society needs to care about and to treat, right? To focus on treating them so they can be better. But again, I said this, where in my opinion, to normalize honestly, a dangerous mindset is not something that I personally view as healthy for society. So and again, how I view it is that out of both sides, who's the one who's actually promoting a certain kind of viewpoint that I believe that it's a detriment to society? Now, I'm not saying one person is everyone, but I have seen multiple times where I think it's part of the LGBT whatever T community where they actually try to add pedos as as part of their lineup, right? Or
All
at
right,
least
I'm gonna stop you there.
something.
I'm gonna stop you there because, and I do appreciate. I'm not gonna interrupt you this time. I do actually really want to hear what you have to say on this topic. I don't think I've ever seen a single person. First of all, you're right. I'll start with this. Did you get to the part of the article that said that shouldn't change the way that we look at him from a criminal justice standpoint?
What do you mean that shouldn't change?
No, I mean it's like it's not you used the word normalize. I don't think that came up in the context you're saying.
It's more
I'm
like I
saying
said with the stigma.
no, yeah, but it's the stigma that, like I said, I'm not even saying I agree with the article. I just remember this being a talking point. Like I remember my 15-year-old friend bringing that article up when I was in high school. Like my 15-year-old like conservative friend bringing it up, be like, "See, the left likes pedophiles," and then I read it and it stuck in my mind because like I never understood how he got that. Anyway, so I just thought it was funny that you brought it up. Like,
I didn't say the left likes pedophiles.
no, but
Right?
I'm saying that the idea of stigmatization, well, it's like, okay, it's the way that we used to treat the way that we tried to pitch drug abuse, in the early 1900s, when like the opium, yeah, like drug abuse became more rampant in America, especially with lower income areas. We tended to just look at them as mentally ill, like that they were bound to do this anyway. We couldn't have done anything about it, and we can't do anything about it now, so we might as well just leave them on the street to rot because that's their fault, right? Until we did more research on the idea and we kind of let the stigma down. We never said that drug addiction is good, but we realized that there's actually prevention campaigns and treatment campaigns that you can have for drug addicted people or people with a higher affliction for drug addiction to stop them from harming themselves or from doing harm to other people. Like we realize over time by lessening the stigma and not just calling them, insane people or lunatics, that we can actually treat them. And the article was not saying that we should be lighter on them criminally. Of course, if they harm a child, then the child is a victim. They created a victim. They harmed a person. The article actually, there's a whole paragraph saying specifically about how we should not change the way that we prosecute them. There's an asterisk at the end of the article. I don't know if you got to that point. That's why I didn't think that you read it.
I did.
So, but I'm saying that the idea of the stigma.
Let me do this. Do you agree that we should? Let's okay, fine. Like the point with the legaling, let's put that aside. Then, do you agree that we should change the point where how we think about how we the stigma, right? How society, not legally, how society views these type of people. Do you believe that we should change how we view, right, these types of people?
I believe that I looked it up and that medical, like psychiatry, or not psychiatry, but psychologists have already kind of stopped with the stigma that most people still haven't lost yet. Like this isn't like a new radical thing. No, I'm getting, so it's a loaded question. My answer would be that if there is a way to prevent them, because obviously they know what they're doing is bad. They know that they'll probably be, screwed with in prison. They know that what they're doing will lead to a consequence for not only the victim, but probably for themselves. Like they're not doing it in some euphoria thinking that they're right. That's why they have to do it in secret, right? There's no proud pedophiles. So my saying is that they know what they're doing is wrong already, and yet they're still acting on said urges. And that's what the point of the article was, and that's my opinion. They're still going to act on them because they're not given ample opportunity to do something about it before those thoughts become so bad that they actually go out and victimize a child. So, yes, I think that lessening the stigma for I'm not saying that I like pedophiles. I hate them. I shoot them. Like, I'm just saying, like, I think genuinely that there should be a death penalty for anyone that actually, I agree with the death penalty, and I think that it should 100% be levied against anyone that actually harms a child. I'm just saying that in order for us to get to a point where we can start prevention campaigns, we do need to destigmatize the idea of pedophilia because it's obviously a mental disorder. It is a mental thing. They know what they're doing is wrong, which is why they do it in secret. So yes, I think that destigmatizing the idea of it, that they're just evil people inherently would allow people to come forward before they actually go out and do the crime to get help for it, which has been shown to work. So yeah, I think that destigmatizing the idea that they're just inherently bad people, similar like what we did with the, that's why I brought up the drug addicts, similar to what we did with drug addicts. Obviously, we saw that work pretty well. Now we have recovery problems and Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're moving in a direction that helps addicts. So I'm saying I think that we could move in a direction that might help these people.
Okay, so I listened to your point. Now let me say this. This is why, personally, why I believe the left is dangerous. Okay.
First of all, this isn't even like a leftist idea. I do need to say that.
See, this is the thing, right?
But you just,
I
I
can
won't
explain
interrupt
to you
after
why.
that.
I can explain to you why.
Okay.
Right? Because
Please do.
again, it is. I mean, this is not the right. Isn't doing the same thing. So it really is right a leftist idea. Because in my opinion, right, the right does not go along with that, right? There's one side that would not have the same view as you, and there's one side that does, right? Because one side, just like you, they will try to end that stigma, try to destroy the stigma, which literally they created a group, right? They changed up the name.
Okay, I do need to say that. That is not a left thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm really not going to try to. That is not a real thing. Whoever told you that there's like people in the LGBT community that are trying to add MAP, whoever told you that lied to you, and either lied to you out of complete ignorance or lied to you because they wanted to turn you into a liar themselves. And I'm not a fan of that. That is just not true. I need you to understand that. Look it up. If you can find a single thing of if like a crazy person on Twitter, sure, dude. I looked up Somalia today on Twitter just curiously, and the first thing that I saw was deport all Somalians. Like if I wanted to use that as an example against all the people on the right, I could. I'm not going to.
This is the problem I have with you, right? Is that one, I've never said everyone. I try my best to be very accurate with the words I say. Okay. I don't mean everyone when I say certain things because it's delusional to say everyone.
But the left
what I
is
do
like
say,
100
right,
million people, man.
On average, right, there's definitely more people on whatever side, let's say on the left, that would agree to this or that would push this than someone on the right. So if there's more people on the left that would agree to this than there are people on the right, then most likely I would say it's a leftist idea. And personally,
I understand that.
I would agree. Why I would also say it's a leftist idea because you don't have people on the left calling it out. That's my thing. Now, I'm not saying that
we don't.
Please show me the video
of the left calling out pedophiles
socially, right? I'm more saying socially. I'm more saying, in social media, and I'm saying my FYP. Maybe it's skewed. So the algorithm. I've always put a caveat that yes, the algorithm could be skewed. I don't disagree with that. But this is why I've always said, I always make the caveat that yes, how I see it, right? How I see it, I don't see, let's say, predominant left figures or predominantly or big time Democrats actually speak against it. Okay, maybe in the small circles, maybe offline. Then yeah, okay, but that's not really.
Okay, I'm kind of curious about this video. Let's just watch this video. I wonder what insane thing this is going to be. There are insane people on the left. Like there are actual lunatics out here that represent my ideas, and it pisses me off. For the record,
minor type of person or MAP in the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. First of all, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile.
Don't you think that this is my problem, right? Where it's literally that, right? Trying to I think it's a dangerous. Sorry.
Let's go.
I think it's a dangerous road, right? That's what I'm talking about.
That's fair.
Where it's a dangerous thing where if you make it less stigmatized, it kind of, I don't know, opens a path for, okay, be a degenerate. Because
Right.
let me say, in my opinion, I think it's dishonest to compare people who are pedos to drug addicts, right? I think that's honestly not a good comparison, in my opinion, right? I
Okay,
really don't.
I'll change it then. Let's go with antisocial personality disorder, ASPs. Would that be a better comparison for you?
Why would you think that's a better comparison?
Because it's a mental disorder you're born with, that leads
Do you
you to
believe that
hurting
they're born
people.
with it? Do you believe
With
that these
antisocial
types of with it?
with
No,
antisocial
no,
personality disorder, yeah, yeah.
pedos.
Yes. Yes, why else would they do it?
So here's my thing,
Wait,
right?
no, no, no,
If
wait, no. DA, if they know that they're going to be harmed for doing it and they still do it, I'd say that they probably were born with the idea. Yeah. And I'm not the only one saying that's psychology. That's psychologists. I'm not an expert
and
on this,
maybe
nor are you. The experts say
fine,
that they
right?
know that.
But
That's not my
how I see it
opinion.
is that, and that's fine. I'm not trying to argue against that opinion, right?
Okay,
So
sure.
let's say, and in the world where, okay, the scenario where these people are born with it, let me give you a kind of a common, let's say, right side, or on the right viewpoints. They should all be deleted. We don't need to cure them. We need to delete them.
Yes.
So to be honest, the right side is that we don't need to cure them. We don't need them around.
Right.
So to be honest, this is why I said what I said in the article. We don't need to get rid of the stigma. Okay?
Mhm.
We don't need these types of people. If, let's say, hypothetically, yes, they're born with it, well, we don't need their genetics to be passed on. We don't need their degeneracy in society. So why I said that, you know what? Yes, the left wants to do this, right? And it seems like in the side of, let's say, just like how I see it, it's not a good thing, right?
All
So
right, I'll rebuttal that. So first of all, yes, I also think that we should delete them if they act on it, which is the only way that we're allowed to know if we can in the first place. So okay,
well,
I think the best way that I can say it like this, let me go like this. If the only way we're ever going to find out if they are or not is waiting until they act on it, that means that we just allowed them to victimize somebody, and then we get to retaliate against them, right? Where those people, the person that wrote the article, as well as even that guy in the video, even though he said it a little more creepily, they're just saying that if we allowed them an opportunity to come forward and get treatment before they do act on it, then it would not only keep a victim from being victimized, but it would also help people further because it's not a genetic trait that's passed down. Once again, this is not an opinion. This is what people, the experts that train their entire lives say on this stuff. Okay, so it's not a genetic trait. It is a neurological disorder. They have a different brain chemistry. There's studies on it. Pedophiles, specifically violent pedophiles, do have differences in their brains. And I'm not smart enough to understand all the lingo, but I mean, studies have shown that their brains are not built like the rest of us. So typically that leads them to more loneliness. Typically that leads to less social skills, which leads to more acts or urges on the thing. So the point that they're making is not that we shouldn't punish them. And also in the article, and I'm sure that if you let that guy finish or watch the rest of that guy's opinion, you probably get to this point as well. It's not that once they commit it, we should just let them off because we treated them. That's not what they're advocating for. They committed a crime. The crime is the abuse. The crime is not having the thoughts, right? So I'm saying if we can limit the thoughts before they commit the crime, not only would that stop them from committing a crime and creating a victim and ruining a child's life, it would also let the next generation know, okay, this is a real thing that happens. We shouldn't just victimize them because that leads them to committing more crimes. And that's
can
like
I
what
say,
experts
like
say.
this? Can I
That's
say
not my, it's, okay, yeah, I'm listening.
can I say this? Do you believe that we could cure, I don't know, gay people, lesbians? Do you believe we could cure them, or
Um,
change how they think, and you know what, they start being straight? Do you think we could do that?
I don't think that we can't. I know that we can't because we tried for thousands of years and decided that it wasn't worth it anymore.
Okay, so in my opinion, right,
Hmm.
by the same logic, we, even if we try to
Hmm.
whatever this disorder, we can't we won't be able to cure
Right.
or in my opinion, prevent these pedos really.
So I'll bring this up then
But let me
before
say,
you continue.
even,
Just before you continue, because I think this is part of the argument that you're going to make, and I just want to stop it now. Gay people and trans people have nothing specifically wrong with their brains. It just is a preference. It's a mental preference. There's no actual, like with a lot of mental disorders that lead to violence and harm, there's a typical part of the chemistry in their brain that has been changed since birth. With people on the LGBT spectrum, there has been found no actual evidence of that. So I don't think they're on the same level regardless. So no, I don't think that we can cure a gay person. And no, I don't think we can cure a pedophile, but we've never tried. And the only thing that article and that those people are advocating for is that we do try. I think that we should try to cure pedophilia because it's bad and it leads to victims. I don't really think we need to cure gay people because there's no victim of two gay people having sex. Both of them are having a pretty good time. I'm fine with it. Or like a trans person transitioning, if they're an adult, like there's no victim to it. They're doing it on their own accord. So I don't think that it needs to be cured in the first place. That's my position on the matter.
okay. I mean,
If there's a victim involved, yes, we should cure it. If there's no victim, I think we should just leave them be. I think that's my overall opinion.
I mean, I don't disagree. I didn't say I would. That's not really my argument. I just don't think that, in my personal opinion. And again, the law is a law. I'm not saying the law part. I'm just saying that we shouldn't, end the stigma because there's a stigma for a reason. I don't think these people would, let's say, even if in personal opinion, right? I mean, maybe we haven't tried, but even if we have tried to change these people, psychologically, I don't think we could, right? So
Well, that's fair.
So I
And
think
I'm just saying that we've done the stigma. We've had this stigma, this dangerous stigma that leads to them being killed and raped in prison. And they know that that's what's going to happen to them if they get caught. That stigma has not stopped them from doing it. So I think that we might need to change our approach. That's all the article's saying. It's not that the left likes pedophiles. It's not that I'm defending pedophiles. I hate them. If I saw an offending pedophile in front of me right now, I'd punch him in the face and probably do much more to him. That's not my argument. But if I had an opportunity before he committed his heinous crime to talk to him and actually try to understand his perspective and see what we could do to help him from having those urges, I would take that in a heartbeat.
And again,
and that's what we're advocating for. It has nothing to do with softening their crimes or softening their, it literally just it's prevention. It's a prevention advocacy.
I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not necessarily disagreeing, and I've never said that the left love them.
I'm just saying. I don't think this is that dangerous of an ideology, dude. I think it's kind of a nothing burger.
I do think it's a dangerous ideology, personally, because I know you're not saying soften the crime, but soften the thoughts of them. I still think it's a dangerous ideology.
But we're not normalizing the thoughts as if, they're just a thing. It's whatever. Just do what you want with it. It's saying that if you are having these thoughts, well, that's why I brought up antisocial personality disorder or psychopathy.
I'm not saying again.
No, but I'm saying we have a stigma against those people, and they usually become career criminals. Like like criminals in general have a higher rate. Violent criminals have a higher rate of ASP because they're so stigmatized to actually finding a good outlet for their anger that they typically go and do it in violent, aggressive, victimizing means. The stigma that we have against them leads them to commit harm to other people, right? And the stigma that we have against pedophiles hasn't stopped them from committing crimes, right?
I disagree.
So I think that we should integrate a more.
I disagree. I don't believe the stigma is making them do anything.
No, I'm not saying it's making them. I'm saying it's not preventing them. So maybe we should try a different approach.
But
we're still going to have the stigma. What do you think? It's not that a psychologist is going to come out and be like, "Hey, we have a prevention program, and everyone in America is just going to go, oh yeah, you're right. These guys are pretty cool." There's no need to even say these guys are cool. They deserve to be locked up. If they're in treatment, they should be locked up. But if you self-admit as a pedophile, you need to be away from society. No one is advocating against that, but we're saying let's get them out of society before they create a victim. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's a good idea?
I'm not saying to get out of society. That also wasn't the article. To get out of society, no.
No, but to treat them in order for them to interact in society without actually having those urges. So it would be taking a pedophile out of society if we can take the pedophile out of the man who will have to live in society.
That this is a thing where, I mean, it's a hopeful way of thinking. I think it's.
Of course, it's a hope. It's a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical.
I don't disagree with the premise, right? I don't disagree with the premise that, okay, you want to, or, certain people, let's say on the left, wants to treat this disorder. I don't disagree with that, right? But in my opinion, right, I don't see it as as something that honestly can be treated, right, in a way that, will end it in a way, right? I don't believe it. It's very doubtful, right? So again, I mean, I'm not the person who's saying, oh, let's not do it. I'm more the person who's saying, you know what, I think it's part of, and this is maybe my problem with the left or Democrats, liberals. It's a lot
How's
of
that works?
utopian mindset, and I get it. I was there too. I've said this plenty of times. I
Yeah.
was there, right? But I've come to realize that, a lot of times, one where I believe, this is just personal opinion, where the left doesn't live in reality. They live in a world where they want the world to be. And I'm not saying that the world that the left wants isn't like maybe utopian. I can agree with it, right? But again,
But what's utopian to you? Does it just
utopian is
mean
literally
like what is utopia to you?
let's we could end these kind of disorders. It's not bad. We could all really live together. It's like, you know what? Equality for everyone. It's just, it has to be the nicest part of the world of any kind of mindset, right?
Yeah, okay, I'll agree with you. If that's your definition, then I'll agree with you on it. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of our aim for a lot of things, yeah.
And I've said this where I've said I was a Democrat, so I would have put myself on the left, but
Yeah, you were pretty far over. You probably, yeah, fair.
but the thing is that I came to realize that honestly, it becomes delusional at a certain point. So let's stick on to this.
Delusional, sure. I'll give you that. But it doesn't, but I think that, and to say this just quickly, I think that the idea between you've never seen anyone on the right say this, because the right, what we call the right in America is just conservatism. It's just staying the same, right? Like you understand that that's it. That's the thing. So like when you say you're a conservative, you just don't want things to change. In fact, you want them to revert to what they were. So yeah, of course they're not saying this because this is a new concept. Like that's not like a gotcha. I'm sorry to say. That's just how politics in America work. So yeah, I think that the left, and I think that, and I'll say this, and I think that we can see it every day in our lives. Unfortunately, the left, the quote unquote progressive mindset tends to be right a lot in history. Like the idea that, oh, if we let gay people be in society and out and proud, then they're just going to start, taking our little kids and turning them gay, or they're going to turn their little underground secret nightclubs and they're going to turn into criminal enterprise. Like these are real things that conservatives said about gay people, and I'm saying that now we live in a society that has a pretty comfortable, that has a less of a stigma against it, more of a comfortable understanding. You might not agree with it, but at least you have an understanding of it. And now you have you can accept them and you can live around them and you can work with them without immediately assuming that they're going to do the worst to you, because we got rid of that stigma. And same with, I was saying, drug addiction or psychopathy or mental illnesses in general. That was a progressive idea. And now we can see that less violent criminal measures have been taken by people with psychopathy or with antisocial personality disorder, specifically because we can treat them. So I would say that progressive ideas when it comes to treating people like this, maybe, yes, utopian to you, but history usually kind of vindicates their measures on this, dude.
Well,
conservatism doesn't stop the issue, because the thing that we're worried about right now is happening right now anyway. We might as well look to, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll aim, land amongst the stars, whatever that stupid quote is. Like, I think that that's the inherent difference right now in America's political, division. We want it to be better in our own way. You guys want it to be better because you thought that back then was better. There you go.
I mean, okay.
Do you disagree with that? I mean, that's just political science.
Because you look
what
at
part do you disagree with?
Right? Because you could look at society right now, right? If you are more, in my opinion, if you were more, let's say, humanist, right? Or I don't know, you care about the human species. A lot of countries, marriage rates are down, divorce rates are high.
Yes.
Birth rates are low. We have more. It's like more people than ever are part of the LGBT whatever community. I don't. We are in my opinion, right? You see the time frame. People are more less marriages than ever.
Mhm.
People there are some. I'm not saying it's a concrete. There are some studies showing people are more unhappy than ever. There are more people that are on more antidepressants than ever. There could be a multitude of honestly I, why I can understand why conservatives want things to go back
Oh,
to
me too.
certain things.
100%. I understand it.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily disagree with it.
really, right? Society in my
I
whole
get it.
hasn't really improved. So to be honest, is like,
But it,
yeah, we could say that yes, we changed the whole. People are more equal, people are more free than ever. But you could also say this is funny too, where even if we are, the left keeps on touting that we're not. So it's like, okay, now it's
well, I think that's dishonest. And I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose, but I think that the idea that we're never happy enough, that we're, it's just like, well, it's always going to be racist. That's why we're fighting so hard, right? Like, I read a really interesting article. God, I wish I could remember who wrote it. But it's not going to come to me. I kind of forgot about it, but it basically saying that, and I'm sure that it was, I mean, just based on the wording and just like the verbiage used, I'm sure it was more of a left-leaning person who wrote it. But it was basically about the fact that when, you know how we look at history in like eras, we have like the Gilded Age or Reconstruction or the Roaring Twenties, right? Like we look at history in eras. Like you'll agree with me on that. We like simplifying it. The article is basically saying that we're still in the racism era. Like we haven't fully gotten out of it. Like in 400, 500 years, we're still going to be looking back as the post-colonial. Even though in 2026 it seems ludicrous to assume that we would be lumped in with, like segregation and anti-gay, like not having gay marriage, like things like that. It sounds crazy to think that we would be lumped in with that crowd. But when history ends up pulling us all together, the article is saying that we probably will be. Like that this era will still be looked at as the tail end of the post-colonial era, right? So that's, I think, what the left means when they say that America's still racist or that white supremacy still exists. It's not that we think that it's just as bad or that it was pointless to try to keep moving or that we shouldn't keep moving. It's the fact that we still aren't to the point where everybody is happy. And while, yes, of course, no, there's never going to be a point in human history where everyone is happy.
yeah, I know.
But why can't we keep trying? I mean, we still see bad things happening to minorities pretty consistently. Are they worse than they were 20 years ago? Of course not, because we're making strides, and those strides were brought on by progressives. And that's what I mean when history will vindicate me. And I say the left in a lot of these situations. I am confident that by the time both of us are gone, the idea that trans people are mentally crazy and blah blah blah, they're gonna come in and they're gonna do all these bad things in the bathrooms or whatever. I think that once the stigma slowly goes away and we realize that these rates don't go up, then history will vindicate the progressive idea. And I think that you guys, unfortunately, right now, that are in the right, are going to be remembered as the last bastion of the post colonial bigotry era. And I don't want to be remembered as that. I don't want to. I want to be a part of, even if it doesn't work out, I would rather be a part of the crowd that complained too much than the crowd that didn't complain enough. And I think that's what a lot of young left people are thinking. So, yeah. Is Zyrex, are you doing like a thing with Zyrex tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Have fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think that the left hates America. I think that the left hates the idea that America has to stay stagnant. I think that the left hates the idea that we have a president that wants it to remain stagnant, that he actively wants to revert things, that he actually wants to go back to questioning things that we've already decided mostly as a society that are fact. I think that we're upset at the concept of rights and just the idea that all of these groups that we've took so many strides for, Republicans, Democrats, everybody, over the last 200 years, is already starting to be pushed back on. Like slavery only existed for like a sixth of human history, and we've already tried to wash our hands from it, right? And now we're already at an era, once again, which sounds ludicrous to say, but we've already hit a point where we have people, actually, it wasn't that bad, right? Like that's not good. So that's what we mean when we say when you think that we hate America when we say that it's a country of white supremacy or a country built on racism. We don't hate that. We hate the version of America, the lie that we've been told that it wasn't, right? And we want to change it. And that's why we want to call these things out. That's why we call Donald Trump out for his whatever. I mean, yeah, they're mostly nothing burgers. Donald Trump is not a dictator. But I will say this: every dictator, or the top dictators that you can think of off the top of your head, I'm certain of it, were democratically elected, and they changed their country to a point where they couldn't be unelected. Hitler, Franco, Stalin. Well, Stalin wasn't necessarily elected, but he was put into general council. Even the
What?
Cultural Revolution. I don't know which. Hitler was elected, and then he was elected as was like viceroy chancellor or whatever, and then ended up taking the rest of it, taking the rest of the power in a coup.
No, he was not elected directly, right? He was appointed chancellor.
Yes, by his peers.
Yeah, so he wasn't.
No, but I'm saying that your idea that Trump can't be a dictator because he was elected. Yeah, he can turn into a dictator pretty quickly. Anyone can. America's not bulletproof, man. We've seen this before. McCarthyism is insane. Like a lot of people don't know how hard in the paint we went. I'm just finishing up, and I'll let you go. And I'm just saying, like, America is not bulletproof. We have been infested by propaganda and a mind virus that makes us hate each other often, right? Like, and that's when I say I love my country. I am a patriot. I'm very patriotic, which is why I want to fight. And this is how I feel we can better this country for myself and for my kids and my grandkids and so on and so forth. My idea, when you say that I hate America because I think we should let gay people have a little more happiness in life, like I don't think. What's the best way to put this? I'm just trying to think of an eloquent way. Apologies for taking so long.
No.
I guess my overall point is that we are not the best country. That does not mean that I hate it. It doesn't mean that I don't think that I can't love it. I don't know, I'm saying that, like, just in general metrics, because the whole point of what's the best country or whatever, that's nationalism, right? So, like, the entire point of I don't know what's better because I don't live anywhere else. But when I look at metrics, we're not number one in education, we're not number one in healthcare, we're not number one in metrics that most people would say, provide a framework for how good a country is, human development.
I want to see if you kind of could see my point. When I say, right? When I say America's the best country, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be the one best in everything, but you got to be how when you put all the pieces together, it makes sense. So let's say a lot of people say Scandinavian countries are, I don't know, the top or whatever, right? But when you look at it, outside looking in, Scandinavian countries are predominantly just white, okay, and they are a crazy ass small population. So why I say America is better than even Scandinavian countries? Because America is 1,000 times more diverse than Scandinavian countries. America makes do with what it has with I don't know, million. I'm just hyperboling, but 1,000,000 times more bigger population than Scandinavian countries. So we can make their structure work as well as we could with how huge of a population we have, how diverse of a population we have, while a country that's like not even bigger than, I don't know, maybe Texas or whatever, right? Did what they did. So how I see, like, wow, America is so much better than, let's say, any other country is because no other country has done what Americans do and can do it better. That's how I view it, right? Because
I love it. I love it.
Countries or whatever, right? There's education, all this stuff. But again, right? How big our country is, because no one ever really takes a step back and look at it in a different perspective. Why I believe America is so amazing is that diversity, is how big of a population we are, and we can make it work as best as we can. That's why I see it, right? That's why I see no other country on this earth is better than America, because they cannot replicate what America has been doing with let's say with the resources or with the dynamic that America has. That's why I see America as great. That's why I think the left who says racism or this that, we've done so much where I've said this, where I don't negate the past. I don't let it dwell on the future. I don't let it dwell on the present. I don't let it an excuse for, let's say, slavery is why Black people can't achieve greatness today. Or let's say,
I know. I've seen your videos. I've watched most of your videos, dude. You're like I'm sorry to say, you're like a case study of mine. Not because I find you particularly interesting, just because you're willing to talk with me. Like, you have a one-up on almost every other person I try to do this with. Like I find you incredibly intriguing as a human being, and just as just a representation of the zeitgeist of the like middle-aged conservative, like post-leftist conservative. Like I think you're a great example, and I think that a lot of people can learn from it. So like yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think that that was actually a pretty fucking nice way to say it. That was pretty fucking patriotic, dude. They kind of got me fired up. I'll be real with you,
I mean,
dude. I'm so with you. Like I love this country. I would
that's
die for
why
this country. This rules. This country rules. But it doesn't rule for a lot of people. And I look at those people and I listen to their problems and they say, hey, there's still some pretty bad shit going on. And instead of me going, but America's great and but we're great and we're so much better than it used to be, so shut up. Like I listen and I go, hey, you know what, maybe it's not so great. And then I look at things and I go, hey, that's a serious problem that we should address. So it's a little disheartening to see people saying we don't need to address it because we already addressed it and we made it better. So let's just stop talking about it. You know, and I think that's just I think that's my overall mindset and why it's hard for me to take. I mean, even no offense, sometimes people like you seriously when it comes to like the trans to pedophile pipeline. Like it's like these are ideas that there is no basis on. It's an opinion. It's a fine opinion to have, but it's not an idea that you should base your worldview on because we have done it before and it didn't lead to anything good. And in fact, it just led to more suffering for other individuals. So like when I see the Trump administration put out suggestions for state education systems, like for early American history for you know, let's say elementary schoolers, like they did in 2020, or I guess technically 2021, but it was called the 1776 report. It's really interesting. You should read through it if you want to. Like when I see them not bring up Native Americans or slavery once in their entire education that they're trying to push to little kids, I see that as a denying of our history, not necessarily just as a I love America. I see it as a denying of America's bad parts, and I think that that's a bad mentality to give to children. I think that if America's so great, we should give them the good and the bad and let them decide for themselves. Okay, like, hey, I'm not a big fan of this. Why did we do this? I'm a history guy. I like learning about why we do things, why we did in the first place. If we lie to kids, even high schoolers, and just tell them like, hey, you know, slavery really wasn't that bad. Like, yes, it'll make them more patriotic in the moment, but that leads to just blind faith, right? And I think that if America's so great and so beautiful and so bulletproof, and I think it is in a lot of points, I think that we shouldn't be afraid to give people all of the facts. I don't think that we should be
let me
afraid.
let me kind of
Do
maybe
you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I mean though?
I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree, right?
Yeah.
But I could maybe I could give you a perspective that maybe what you just said. I don't know if you're thinking about it.
Yeah,
Where
sure.
I agree with Trump, where we should take the government out of the states, where because this is I think the people right have more power on the state level than they do on the national federal level. So
Okay.
it makes more sense that you know what, and this is why, in my personal opinion, why and maybe I'm telling you why, right? Why I side with the right, right?
Yeah.
I believe we shouldn't be so taxed to death. I believe the government shouldn't have so much power on us. So I believe one of the things I do like about Trump is that he wants to take federal out of the states where because as people we have more power on the state level because these are the politicians that we actually fully focus on or fully can elect. So I
Hmm.
think it's a great idea that, and I agree, right? I think it's a terrible part where if any states are trying to get rid of honest history that we should learn because I 100% believe that we should learn American history, right? With the bad and the good, 100% believe it.
Hmm.
But to have actual power in telling our government or our states what to do, it is what Trump's saying. Take the educate our federal education should be wiped out. It should be on state level where people in those states they should be focusing on electing correct officials that would make or do what the people in those states want. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fair.
Understandable if you wanted to not to
I
standardize
don't
it.
I don't even hate that opinion, man. Like I'm totally if you dude, anti-federalists kind of go hard. I like the idea. I like the idea in theory that states should hold the majority of power more than I think I like it in practice just based once again, I'm young. I haven't seen a lot of this shit happen in real life, but I read. That's what I do, right? I just read about what happened before and I read people experts' opinions on what might happen next. And I make my opinions based on that. Right? I'm just saying, like I'm too young to have personal experience, so I just rigged. And what I've read is that typically, if you give states a whole bunch of unchecked power, they tend to start disagreeing with each other, and they tend to start competing with each other, which leads, dude, if we gave most of the power to the states right now, California would lap all of the West Coast and the West. California would take everything from them. There's a reason why we have federal regulation. So I'm just saying, like, and the other thing, and I'll say this, is that unfortunately Trump right now is acting. I don't think that Trump's a dictator. I don't think that he's some fascist mustache twirling villain. I think that he has tendencies towards these things that his supporters are fine with, which I think can lead to problems down the road. That's my opinion on it. When I call him a fascist, I'm not calling him like he's sitting down in a dark room going, "Yes, I love Hitler." I think that he's realizing that he can get away with these things that lead to more fascist ideology within his fan base. You might disagree with that, but I'm just saying, you get what I mean. So no, I don't think that Trump is for the states right now at all. I think that he says he is. And I think that, once again, I don't even necessarily disagree with that. That's a problem that the boys in 1776 couldn't figure out. It's a problem that we still can't figure out today. It's a problem we probably never will figure out. And that's a good debate topic. But when you say that Trump is for states' rights, I think that he's for the states that agree with him, which might help your argument. Well, you saw what he did in Minnesota. I mean, whether or not you think it's valid that he wanted to, send ICE brigades in and do all the let's investigate fraud, and I mean, obviously, whether or not you agree with it, I think he went a little overboard. He did impose the will of the federal government onto a state that said no to him. I think that if he really was for the states the way that he campaigned on, he would have said, okay, I'll let you shoot yourself in the foot then. That's your problem now. We'll stop funding you. But he's still funding them, and he bullied them into submission. So I don't think that he's really the anti-federalist that you think he is.
No, because you're kind of blending things, right?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, though?
I mean, like, I do agree that, states, like, back what you said, right? I believe, I'm a capitalist, so I believe that we should let states, if they compete with each other. But I also think that, there are, I mean, like, there's no, we shouldn't take 100% the government out of these states, right? So, correct, no state should have 100% power or whatever. We don't want, I don't know, like, leaving the country or whatever.
Oh, sure.
So,
again, they can't secede.
Immigration is, the state. I mean, it's not just the state problem. It's, if let's say hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, the government isn't funding these, I don't know, programs, then, and only the state funds it. Okay, and then I'll probably side with you and say that, okay, let the states handle it themselves. But still, government is funding the majority of all these, welfare programs, Medicaid programs, whatever. So it's not really just the states. So
I'm with you. I also think
why the government steps in now. In this situation where, okay, if the government is, but I don't also think that's probably illogical because, we don't have 100% freedom. The states don't, are not that autonomous like that. But if in the weird ass world where, each state just do their own shit, then okay. Yeah, then Trump wouldn't be doing that. But, it's a mixture of thing, right? So I think
based on opinion.
Balance where, let's say, the whole abortion thing, well, each state runs it. You elect who you should, if you wanted to change. And just like education, each state that, so you should elect who you want.
Well, here's another concept I want you to look into, because I'm gonna go off on a limb and assume that you probably don't know too much about it. I'm not gonna say that I'm an expert on it, but do you understand like the way that we have like the winner takes all system that we use for elections compared to like ranked choice voting that most other countries use? Do you know the difference?
No.
So like we are a two-party system, which kind of just defaulted to this idea of winner takes all. So the way that we run like let's say, you're saying we have to elect the right people. Like if the state votes 50-50 entirely, direct down to the last vote, it's 59,120,000 to 59,120,000, and one person votes, and it ticks it over to one for one other side. That person, the person they elected, gets to run everything. Obviously, that's just how our thing works. A lot of people disagree with that idea, just in general, because that means that technically, a majority of people think that that's right, but that's not very telling, right? So like, I mean, we look at our political elections, even, at CNN, like all these people do on election night where the state's either blue or red, I think they should be in states of purple, right? Like I think that it doesn't the moment that that one person votes, it ticks the state over to blue or it ticks the state over to red. And I think that that's just like a fundamental flaw that I think America will try to. And my point is that it's hard. It's hard for yeah, that is democracy. But that's and I agree, and I think it's cool, and I think it's yeah. If the will of the people elects that one person, even if it's based on one vote, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
totally fine. It's legal, and I love the system. I just think that it's disingenuous to assume that that is the right that is somehow indicative of the state, quote unquote, electing the right person for it, right?
well,
And
it's just, I
you get what I'm
think
saying, though? I mean, it's like it's not. It doesn't mean that the whole state agrees with it, and it definitely doesn't mean that the whole state should just lie down and go, "Well, you're right. You know, we did elect them." It's like
well,
it's one
I think,
person. I mean, you know,
you know,
obviously that's
this is also
hyperbolic,
the
but you
thing
know what I
where
mean.
this is also the thing where let's say all those things, right? Like let's the LGBT whatever community or racism, black people, minorities.
Zyrex, if I'm taking up your time, please come up here. I'm sorry, by the way. I don't know if you what you guys had planned. I'm just kind of talking. I'm just filling up the time for content. I'm enjoying this conversation a lot. If Zyrex wants to come up, please take
I always,
over.
I always talk to
I'm
people.
just saying, yeah.
But I'm just again, I'm just saying that like at the end of the day, you know, there's always good and bad to everything, and that could be a bad thing with our democracy, but that's our democracy, right? This is why I honestly say I don't believe that we could ever be a dictatorship or authoritarian, because at the end of the day, there are our founding fathers did it, right? Checks and balances, so
Right.
that's just how it is. So I believe if you hate, I mean, just like there's
Well,
plenty
but
of
that's
people.
the other thing that I wanted to bring up to you, just really quickly, is that the idea of checks and balances can be changed, like quite easily. All it takes is one Supreme Court decision to change the way that we see an entire law and say a subset of laws for an entire country. You ever heard like the Dred Scott decision?
The
You ever
what?
heard
No.
of it? It's a 1854. What do you call it? Supreme Court case. It basically a slave gets freed by his let's just say with masters. Ugh. Like slave got freed, lived a life. Oh, 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 wait, oh, am I back? Sorry, I lied down entirely. But to make it quickly, basically, a slave sued for his freedom and won, lived a life, and then years later, it turned out that there was like a legal loophole that technically the master that freed him actually gave the rights to Dred Scott because this is still in slavery. He was seen as property. He was not seen as a human being. Technically, gave the rights to their like cousin or whatever, right? So then the cousin was like, "Hey, I actually want you." And Dred Scott was like, "No, dude, I'm living life." This is a super big simplification. I'm getting some of it wrong, I'm sure. But like, it ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court because he sued the cousin or whatever. And was like, "No, dude, I'm a human being. I've already been given freedom." Made it to the Supreme Court, and the boys in the Supreme Court were like, well, technically, there's nothing in the Constitution because they're just supposed to interpret the Constitution. That's the check and balance on the Supreme Court, right? They're just supposed to interpret, right? Unfortunately, their interpretation sometimes can go way overboard because their interpretation was that there's nothing in the Constitution saying that black people could sue in general. So in one decision, they changed it for across the board that any person, enslaved, non-enslaved, anyone with any melanin in their skin from Africa cannot use the court system at all. Like that one little paragraph on a Supreme Court decision most people don't even remember completely killed any legal right of any black person in America for like 60 years. So like the idea of checks and balances being like a perfect system, I think that's utopian. Because all it takes is five human beings and a country of 380 million to change it. If the Supreme Court today came out with a decision, technically, according to checks and balances, this would be totally okay. If they came out with a decision saying, well, actually, technically, elections, well, I mean, what are elections anyway? I think we should just suspend them entirely and turn the country into a dictatorship if they decided to do that, which they won't, obviously, because that's how the Constitution works. But if that's the way that a corrupt judge interprets, quote unquote, the Constitution, that's the way that it is, right? Like the quote unquote checks and balances do fall apart with the Supreme Court. And I think that's why a lot of people are worried about the court system in general. And I think that's why a lot of people are worried about Trump's executive branch power grabs because the Supreme Court is not going against him because they're a majority conservative Supreme Court right now. So I don't think that the checks and balances work all of the time. And I think that it's important to monitor when we think they're not working.
I,
So I don't think that it's a good, I don't think that it's good for you, for anybody to just blindly believe that the system will always inherently even itself out to 33%, 33%, 33%
I mean,
power.
that's the thing where one, it says that they can't abolish voting, but when I say
Fair
check
enough,
and
Cyrus. Thank you.
when I say checks and balances, I mean
Yeah,
that at the end of the day, we have one side that doesn't always agree with the other side. We
mhm,
have we have different parts of the government that don't always agree with each other, right? So to where I don't could ever see a president taking full control is that no one. I mean, like not one. I mean, like unless 100% of person can agree with Trump, he can't ever take fully control. Plus, let's say another part of our
yeah, but
country,
I mean,
their arm is so important, right? Where this is where that makes sense as a protest, right?
sure,
This is
sure.
what we have because there's more guns in the U.S. than there are
Some
people.
people, I know. Isn't
So,
that crazy?
so at the end of the day, this is you know that's why I say that the checks and balances is also the people, right? And
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt Americans. They're easy to protest. They're easy to pull out a gun. So you know,
Let me. I'll say this then, and I think I used this analogy the first time we spoke, or something similar to it. But it's like, okay, like if you have two people, two, let's call them candidates, whatever, and you put two guns in front of them and says the next person that comes in this room, you should shoot them, right? And then the moderator walks out, and then the two candidates are up there with two guns in front of them, and then a guy walks in, and one candidate doesn't lift up the gun at all, and the other candidate does grab the gun and points it at the person, but doesn't shoot. He doesn't shoot. And the person walks in and goes, "Oh, hi," and then walks out, and then the moderator comes back up. Technically, you can frame that in two very different ways, because technically, you can write an article saying, "Man walks in and neither of them shoot." Or you can explain that one of them got pretty damn close, right? Or one of them at least intended to more than the other. But you can take that the intent out just based on its semantics or just leaving out information. So no, I don't think that like a dictatorship. I don't think that fucking Pol Pot is coming to America anytime soon. I do think that you can get away with doing some Pol Pot like things if you try hard enough. And I think that that's why people are concerned about Trump. People are not saying that he is going to shoot the guy. People are saying that his arm is inching closer to doing it, that the finger is itching. And that's what people are worried about. Because if
that,
he's
that,
left unchecked now, what's stopping him from pulling the trigger later? And once
that's
again,
also see
it's a
that's
it's
also
hyperbolic, but you get what I mean though, right?
I do.
You probably wouldn't vote for the guy who lifted the gun up, but if you're told that, well, technically both of them didn't shoot, then you're probably not going to care and you're going to vote based not informed on that decision because you were lied to. That's what we're worried about with Trump.
I don't I see your story, but I also see that it's also could use reversed or use on the other side to paint a narrative that okay he is a dictator or he is going there when honestly
Yeah, of
I
course. People
when
are
I look at
stupid.
the story I also think about results right the end results are still the same right so you could make a narrative oh he pulled a gun well okay he pulled a gun but at the end of the day nothing happened right? So at the end of the day, the left is pulling. He's a Nazi. He's a dictator. He's an authoritarian. He's fascist. But at the end of the day, life still goes on. So it's like it's just
Well,
used.
but life goes on. We have to. I think it's
I'm not
important
saying
to say life goes on for us. I mean,
be elected and things will still go on, but we used the whole time, right? This his practically his probably his whole presidency, most likely his whole presidency, to
mhm.
paint his presidency as that right as the next Hitler or whatever.
Well, it definitely will be. Okay, whether or not you agree with it, this is without a doubt in my mind. You can just read it. I mean, Jesus Christ, this will be looked at least so far, aside from like I don't know. Well, I don't even know, man. I can't even think of a single other. Like I said, I like studying presidents and like our history of administrations and stuff. And this will be remembered as the most authoritarian, suck it down, you dickhead, presidency administration we've ever had so far. Like this will be looked at, whether or not you agree with it. Like history is going to look back at this and be like, he changed the president's hall. Like people are going to look at things like that, like or he put ice in Minnesota for what 3 weeks and then didn't really even get his job done and then came out. He made a press conference about it. People are going to look at things like that, right? Like, I need you to understand that at the end of the day, these things are not reverted. Whether or not he shoots the gun or not is completely irrelevant. Because when people have all of the facts and they're comparing like Obama to Trump's second term, like you know what I'm saying? Like this will be looked at as the more authoritarian. So yes, of course, there's stupid people on each side saying like, oh yeah, he's a fascist, or saying that Kamala Harris or that Zoran Madami's a communist. Like people are allowed to say these things, and they're fucking idiots on both sides if they're saying he is a istward, whatever, right? But I'm not saying that, and I don't think a lot of people on the left are saying that. I think a lot of people are saying that he is racist sometimes, or that he is fascist sometimes, or that he is authoritarian. And I think that's the conversation we should be having. A lot of young people tend to just once again, it is semantics, but a lot of people tend to put the A in front of it, which diminishes their argument. I agree with you; it is stupid. But if you can put past the semantics and you can listen to what they're saying, not just say, well, they called him a fascist and he's not a fascist, so argument invalidated. Like, no offense, you do a lot. Like, if you can put down that ideology, I think that you would be able to learn a lot more about the other side. And I think that that also comes to like the idea, like I mean, the stuff that you say, like the left hates America. I think that we hate the bad of America the same way that you hate the bad of America. We
No,
just
because
disagree on what's bad. That's politics, man.
that's the point
We don't
where
hate America. We hate the things that we disagree with. That's how life is.
right, when we come to the table and ask, okay, fine, what is the bad? When they okay, let me say this, right? When they say what's the bad, right? They say, oh, racism. Okay, let's
Yes.
say racism. I'm gonna debunk that right now, right? Let's say racism is bad, right? America so racist, racism is bad. But like I said before, we are the only country that is as diverse as us, and we
I didn't
have.
even think Trump. Oh, man. But sorry, no, Red Door. Hello, Red Door Woman. Sorry, DA. My bad, dude.
Okay.
You're saying America is racist, but we have a high level of diversity, so therefore.
But not just that, right? We have more black millionaires than in anywhere else in the nation. We have, black CEOs. We've had black mayors, black governors, black senators, black police chief. We've had a black president.
Mhm.
We've had so many black people in power and still in power,
Mhm.
and yet, let's say compared to all other nations on this earth, we are so racist. This is another thing where I find that where I say that no, your argument is mute, right? Now I can say that, let's say this, on the individual level, right? You could say that someone, a white person hating a black person, okay, that white person's racist. So what? We are jerks to each other, right?
Yeah, because
White
this
person
is like the
hating a
pedophile
black
argument. It leads to harm against an innocent soul,
No,
which I disagree with.
let's hypothetical that, right? Leads to harm. There's less white police officers killing black people than there are also black people killing black people, and a lot less.
But that's
So
not
to
the
lead to
same
harm is
thing,
like
dude.
the lead to harm thing is just
It's not.
there's no actual statistical magnitude that actually supports that.
Yes, there is.
Show
Yes,
me
there is.
that American racism has led to such a huge harm to, let's say, the black people.
You need a DA. You need a study showing that racism in America has affected black people
Show me how.
negatively ever.
Again,
Did you know that the last American slave was freed in 1942? Like, we also have this idea that, like, I mean, like, I'm sure.
Say, right? If you see my just recent video, I said this too. Right? Can you tell me, right? Let's say hypothetical. You even said that you even said the history of the life of your dad. Has the life of your dad stopped you from achieving anything?
I don't think I said that. Someone brought that up the other day too. My dad has not stopped me from achieving anything.
So that mindset, right?
What does that mean? I don't even remember saying that. I don't know what that means.
I never said that. I never said that you said that. I'm asking, right?
Oh.
I'm asking, right?
I'm
So my
confused.
thing is that I've said this countless times before. As a minority myself, I never discredit the history that the black people had. What I discredit is, and I said this in a recent short, is that it's the use of it as an excuse, the use of it as a victim.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Use of it, as I can't achieve anything because you know what? Jim Crow, my ancestors were slaves, all that shit. That is bullshit, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of people. Sure.
We should 100%, all Americans should learn about the history, but all Americans should not be shackled to the history. And that is my
No
problem.
one's asking anyone to be shackled. I
It is.
think that
People
the idea, well, the other idea that I want to say,
you are being shackled to it, right? Because then, okay, you said that America's racist.
it's been like 30 years.
Right? Now, people could be jerks on the individual level, whatever, but that's human nature, right? That's human beings. Like in society, you know, we kill each other. Like seriously, like we have more killings of each other, right, in pockets than we do have interracially, right?
I agree.
So
Yeah, no, I agree.
we have more communities in certain communities. So it just everything. I've seen studies, I've seen stats, I've seen personal hit. I've seen it. I've seen the dynamic of our country. This is another thing why me personally I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. I'm not on Democrat side because again, you need to push that victimhood, right? You need to push that problem. Okay.
I do agree with you on that. Ooh, now this is some nuance, DA. I'm with you on that one. It is part of their election strategies, and it annoys the shit out of me. That's why I'm totally with you. It annoys most quote unquote moderate liberals, by the way, when they do that. The victimhood mentality. But that idea has been roped in with all of the other stuff. The idea that DEI is somehow part of a victimhood mentality is absurd. But because we've decided that any liberal who ever complains about black people being treated bad is actually, they're pushing the victimhood mentality, then everything is a victimhood mentality. And that gives heed to actual racists to be like, you're right, black people are kind of dumb. And that's not good, DA. That's what bothers me. Like, I need you to, I need to, that's what I'm saying, man.
That's on the individual level.
But an individual that gets to vote, and obviously we have quite a bit of individuals who like to get together.
We can't control that. Right?
We can control that. You very much can control that.
Vote.
There's nothing.
It's just that's how our society is.
Okay, but like I said, I mean, 60 years ago, we had people afraid of drinking out of the same drinking fountains as an African American fella because they thought they'd get sick from being near their germs. DA, let me listen to my point. You definitely can stop racism. You can definitely kill it. Not soon. No, but the idea of that violent rhetoric, I'm saying that like 6 years ago, 2 generations ago, 1 in some cases probably, like people were afraid because they thought they were told by the government that they'd get sick, right? And then segregation ends, and oh boy, I'm not getting sick. Oh, it looks like I was just a little misinformed. That is technically taking the racism, or at least some aspect out of someone's body based on advocacy and destroying a stigma. You can. We have.
Right? You can't. I mean, what you could do is stop pushing propaganda. That's what you could do.
I understand, but I'm just saying, once again, this leads me to that argument that I heard the other day and me agreeing with it. I honestly, I think that there's a really good argument to be made that we're still in the era of post-colonialism. We're still fighting this shit. I do not believe that in 100 years, I do not think that people are going to be looking at this rhetoric of like, well, it's not that bad and we should stop the victim mentality and segregation as any real difference. They're just going to be looking at you guys as the last bastion of that ideology. Obviously, you're not a white supremacist. I don't think you are. I do think it is odd how often you talk about just keep America white. I don't get that. I don't think that has anything to do with race. We invented race. The boys, okay, Europeans invented the concept of race 400 years ago and then are still upset about it. We rage baited ourselves.
Again, this is the problem I have with the left, right? Because here's my thing. Supremacy, racism, and sexism, all this shit. Civil Rights Act wouldn't have been passed if the majority of white people didn't approve with it.
That wasn't voted on, by the way. That was in Congress. That was our government system. It's not, that wasn't a direct vote.
Let me say this, right? If we hated black so much, which we did a civil war, one of the reasons for civil war, right? With how
it was the reason.
All this shit, we would have protested it. We would have, the American people, if the majority of American people, right, hated it, right? They hated black so much. I'm 100% believe, right? We would, not voted the people in Congress. We would also revolt, And that's the thing with fake.
Which is why it's odd that I see people in our administration currently actually actively trying to revoke it. Yeah, that's why it bothers me, man.
Revoke what? What do you mean they revoke?
You just brought up the Civil Rights Act. Charlie Kirk said
They're
like a million times that we should revoke
No,
it.
no, no,
Like
no, no.
that's not good. That I'm saying, yeah, people still protested, brother.
No, the problem is what I've seen too, right? Even some black people think, right? The Civil Rights Act was meant for minorities, was meant for black people. Why? What Charlie Kirk said is not revoking it, is making, and this is, I have a problem with this with the government, period, right? Where the government makes things, a lot of things, very vague. So it leaves up to whatever interpretations you want, which is what Charlie Kirk was talking about. Where now, because of the Civil Rights Act, we could use that for, let's say, trans people could use that. Any other type of group of people, could use that as well. When in all reality, that was meant for minorities, was meant for black people, purely for that. At least the mindset was. But because it's vague, it can be used for any other group. That's what he was talking about. And
Right, which is still just once again more bigotry in general, which is what it's against. And I think that once again history will vindicate me in this. That I think that once, dude. Okay, I'm saying DA, you're old. Once again, this is the difference between you're not old, but you're older than I am. Obviously, you're looking pretty good, honestly. But like I'm saying, like the divide between I think my generation and your generation, and even millennials to an extent, is that I grew up with trans friends. I grew up with openly gay friends. I grew up in a pretty diverse-ish area. I grew up with these things not even being in my mind. I never, you know what I mean? I grew up with no stigma already, and I realized that they're actually pretty cool people. They haven't tried to rape me or touch my kids or say anything weird. They've just been my buddies, right? Well, you guys didn't really grow up with any of them because they had to be in the closet, and then because you were told they're probably going to try and hurt you, you avoided them. Obviously, you took this to heart. You've avoided them your entire life. I'm saying I grew up with them and that nothing's happened. And obviously we're seeing a rise in let's just go with trans people. We're seeing a rise in trans people in society, right? And it's only going to keep getting bigger. And we've seen no increase in anything negative. So when we get to a point in society where they are just more so accepted than not, I will be vindicated in my view.
We'll see who gets vindicated. But let me say this: where I mean,
dude, that's a matter of opinion, sure, but I'm correct.
If you think so,
no one is going to like this. No kid in 100 years, no 14-year-old during American history is going to look back at you and be like, oh, he's making some pretty good points. No, he's going to think that you're still in the same. He's going to lump you in the same boat as the segregationists.
Okay, but see, here's the thing where
that bothers me, and I want to distance myself.
Let's say in 100 years, right? We have less of a population. We are actually, just like probably in Korea will be gone, right? This is a thing where, okay, to be honest, following your side's viewpoint, our population is actually dying, right? So really, yes, men are becoming trans. More, men going with men, women going with women. Higher divorce rates, less marriage rate. To be honest, the path to human extinction, that's your side is great, because you know what? When people view it from the future, they'll probably be dead. So really wouldn't matter.
Wait, you're worried about? Oh, wait, whoa! You just threw me a curveball.
No, I'm more saying.
You just threw me a curveball. You're worried about you think that you're worried that we're going to lead to the extinction of humanity? Because we're not getting married at the same rate?
I'm more saying that, you know what, you think that we look back and this is a bad time and whatever, your side is, you'll be vindicated. But to be honest, when you look back, your path does not lead to a better society or more, I don't know.
Oh yeah, sure. I agree with you on that. I don't know if it will. I'm not a time traveler. I'm just saying I know that when a me comes around later and he's super conservative and he grows up and he's on 4chan and he's making like Hitler was right jokes his entire life and he thinks it's just so funny to go out and say the N-word, blah, 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 blah. And then he reads about these things the same way that I did when I got to about 15, 16, when I started actually reading history. He's going to make the same epiphany. Oh, maybe, just maybe, I'm part of the end times of a thing that most people don't like. And That's what I mean by vindicated. Not that society is even gonna get better. We might get into a nuclear war tomorrow. I'm not saying that my ideology is making society better, but it is making life easier and better for a lot of people, and that's why I like it. I think that we should just good Christ, Alan, you're not right all the time. Stop saying, I don't think that I'm right. I'm just saying, I know that in the history books, I don't need to be right. I'm just saying that when it comes down to it, this era is going to be remembered as the end of racism.
I will say this, right?
We're not done with it yet. So we're still in it.
I definitely would say
That's all I'm saying.
The winners write history. So if you were right, okay, but
But now we have the internet. The whole history is written by the victors thing. I do agree with you 99.9% of the time. But now anyone with any brain functioning capacity can just go on Twitter and say their opinion and write whatever they want. I think that the idea that history is written by the victors is going to be lessened. So exponentially, even in my lifetime, probably before I even have kids, the idea that history is written by the victors is going to be a thing that we've kind of phased out because anyone can write anything now. I don't know. I don't think that because I mean back in the day with the whole idiom of history was written by the victors because they'd have like a dozen guys explaining what happened during a specific battle. They'd have guys sitting on hills writing down how the battle's going, and typically if they lose the battle, their paper gets thrown out and they are probably killed, so they don't get to explain their side. Like that's why that whole idiom exists in the first place. Now we have like millions of hours of footage of just people hanging around in shacks in Iraq during the wars. Like we can see all angles. It comes down to public opinion now. It doesn't have anything to do with the king who won the battle saying, "Yes, I won the battle and my shit doesn't stink." Now we can look at the battle and go, well, obviously that's not what happened. So no, I think that within an information age, the more diversity that we show and the more acceptability we have towards new ideas is probably the best direction to go in.
Okay.
And that's I think I've said my piece. I appreciate it. I think that I understand your opinions. I just think that you're gonna be lost to time. I think that you're gonna be left behind, dude, like pretty quickly. I think that when my generation gets to the workforce, when the late or the early Gen Zers, like the 2000 to 2005 crowd that I'm a part of, like when we start getting in politics, I think that you guys are going to be left behind quicker than anybody, but not because they hate you, not because they think you're racist, but because they'll remember you for these things. They'll remember you for trying to stifle their improvement as human beings more so than they'll remember you for your like general centrist takes. And I think that's what you know what I'm saying? I'm saying I think you should. I think you should pay more attention to what they're actually saying, man.
There's statistics that show more and more young men are turning conservative. So plus is like there's also studies that show that as people get older they become more conservative. So we'll see.
Because conservatism is keeping the things that they had when they were young. So right now I'm saying what I had when I was young, even if I become a conservative when I'm 80, which honestly I probably will. Yes, you're right. I mean, statistically I will. My idea of conservatism is still going to be, I'm fine with trans and gay people. Your idea of conservatism is different than what mine will be when I get older.
That's not the idea of conservative. So, I mean, if you think so.
No, but it isn't?
No.
What is it then?
Traditional values.
Right, traditional values that we decided on like less than 100 years ago. So yeah, but like they still the concept of traditional values can still change, dude.
I mean,
conservatives being my traditional values right now as a liberal goofball are still going to be my traditional values when I'm 80 because I grew up on them.
That's not traditional values, right? That's
no, they're not traditional. They're not your traditional values because you didn't grow up with them.
But that's not conventional. That's not the conventional idea.
And the conventional nuclear family was only introduced into America, 80 years ago? So, like, no, I don't think that it's bulletproof. I don't think the idea of get married to a wife, have one wife all life. Like, I mean, the idea of sex before marriage not even being a thing in America didn't even pop up until like the 1840s in a lot of places. Like, most of these things are new-ish enough where, yes, they're status quo to you. They're quote-unquote traditional values to someone like you who grew up with them being the norm. But as someone like me in the information age, who's, once again, I'm just saying, I never had a statement against gay people because I liked them as a child. So someone like me, when quote-unquote traditional values end up changing, they're going to change with the times. No one is going to be citing... The nuclear family's already dying, dude. Like, and I know you're not a big fan of it dying out. I'm not. I know you're upset about divorce rates and marriage rates being down, like, etc. Like, I know you're upset about these things, but the idea that the traditional family that you're fighting for is pretty new. Like, it's not like these things were written in a stone tablet 5,000 years ago. Like, the concept of the American nuclear family and don't get divorced and blah 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 things of that nature. Yeah, they're new. I mean, they're with less than 100 years old in a lot of cases. And so I think that your traditional values, I understand why you want to preserve them. You grew up with them and you think that they're good. Fine, fair. My traditional values are already very different than the ideas of yours, and that's only within what what you consider yourself like a Gen Xer, right? It's like two generations already. There's kids growing up that haven't even lived in your idea of a traditional value. I don't think that yours is going to stick around for that much longer. That's my opinion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Are you really that like? Do you? This isn't like a gotcha. I'm being for real. Do you think that, like I said, the American nuclear family only has existed for, let's say,
I,
100 years, and people are already starting to go against it? Do you think that it's going to stick around for another 100 years?
Here's the thing where one, Alan, you're not saying anything I don't understand. But what you seem to not understand is that you don't have to live it to see that it's the value in it, right?
I know.
Like I said, more and more young men are becoming conservative. They're not they didn't live they're not necessarily living like men your age, right? They're not necessarily living
Let
that
me look
life.
that up. What study are you talking about? I want to look that up. You can continue though. Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, I'm just saying that like
Uh,
you don't need to live that life to see that if there's value in that life.
My
So
phone's gonna
if
die.
they if they
Yeah, no, I agree.
if they see that okay the
But,
nuclear family, well they could probably adopt it, but we'll see.
okay, but like, I mean, let's say 2 generations from now, like I said, there's already a pretty disconnect between us. 2 generations from now, gay marriage will be legal for 60 years and more normalized. Do you think that the idea of the nuclear family in 6 years is going to still be the same? Or do you think that maybe, just maybe, society is going to evolve and understand the quote unquote nuclear family as also possibly being between 2 men or 2 women? Do you think that we're still just going to stick on the actually they're weird thing if it's
Yeah,
normalized?
I think that
I
would
don't
be
know.
a option.
I
I
just
don't think
don't
that
think
would be
that.
the definition of a nuclear family.
Well, no, but the idea, the definition of nuclear family is not that, but like the idea that this is the traditional lives that we should lead. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, I just
One,
don't think that the world is hanging on to this the same way that you think they are, man.
we'll see, right? Like I said, the victors,
And I'm just saying, and I once again just want you to understand this, and I want to recontextualize with you. If you are wrong, you will be looked at as the last bastion of horrible shit. And if I am wrong, then I will just be a part of a resistance movement that didn't work out. That's it. Like I'm not saying that means I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm always right. I'm in fact wrong quite a bit. I like being wrong because it means that I get to learn. I'm
Mhm.
saying that when our ideologies come down to it, if I am right in some way, you're not going to be looked at super favorably because you're going to be lumped in with all the segregationists, and I will be lumped in with like the utopian revolutionaries that never were, right? So I'd much rather be advocating more for human rights than less for, and worried more about, okay, maybe the future is not going to be the same, then the future will be the same, and I will be vindicated. Like, like that's just the way that I look at it a lot when it comes to these things, specifically with trans people. I don't understand them. I don't need to. I don't get it. I would never do it. I think it's kind of strange, in fact. Does that mean that I dislike them? No. And does that mean that I think that they're going to have the stigma against them for the rest of time? No. So I'm learning right now as a 20-year-old how to accept them and learn from them and learn how to live with them. So when I'm 45, I'm not upset that they're still around because they're around. They're going to be around.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You get what I
Yeah,
mean?
I do understand your argument, Alan. I'm not a teenager.
It's fair enough. I don't know. You said that one thing to me that like nothing I'm gonna say is gonna change your mind anyway, and I was like, what's even the point, man? I
I
hope
mean,
that I don't need to change your mind. I just
I do, Alan. I do want you to understand, right? I mean, you are, you can be a jerk, but it's like the point is not necessarily to change each other's mind. It's
there's a nuclear
this is the
family.
thing
Yeah,
where
this one.
one thing I agree with Charlie Kirk is that we should talk to each other, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, a red door woman. I meant store, and I agree with you, Da. Sorry, red door woman. No, obviously the two parent like household has existed forever. I meant specifically the go and get yourself a house, start paying a mortgage, get yourself a job. The woman shouldn't go to work. She just stays at home. Man goes out and gets all the money, get a car. Like that idea of the nuclear family, not the American nuclear family. I'm not talking about two parent household, have a couple of kids. I mean, a lot of people were living in boarding houses with 12 different people in a room, like even 100 years ago. Like that was the norm in big cities. We've obviously
Well,
changed that. You know, that's what I meant by the nuclear family. Red
but I
Dawn.
do say that we have evolved, right? I think both
Yeah,
parents
yeah,
work. I think men are now being more in tuned or more present in their family with their children. So I
yeah.
think
Oh,
we
I'm not
do.
saying that it doesn't work, by the way. I think it works quite well. Obviously, we've seen it work quite well. I'm just saying that the ideas might shift. Like the idea of
I think
not
that
that it
idea,
won't work, not that it doesn't work. I think it works great. I think that we should keep it. I just don't think that it's going to be seen as the norm, right? No one wants to phase out the idea of two men and women loving each other very much and having a fucking stork bring them a baby. No one's trying to kill that. They're just trying to say that, hey, other people that maybe don't fit into that also can do that and live pretty successful lives. So why stifle them? That's I think the argument. I don't. Same thing with like toxic masculinity. Like no one's killing masculinity. No one doesn't want men. It's the idea that no one wants the toxic traits that come with it, and those will slowly dissipate, and they have, and they continue. They will continue to. Like I mean, like it's what 1972 when women could have a credit card without having a man sign on it. I mean, like that's what 54 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like things that people saw as absolutes. Like girls, I mean, girls,
Alan, I
Oh,
get it.
Zyrex coming?
Yeah, I get your point. All right.
Zyrex coming? Zyrex, please. No, I do not consider myself democratic socialist. Those are the actual utopians. Those are the people that I look at and I go, all right. Most of the time, I think that the ideas I can get down with some, most definitely. But like, yeah, I don't know. Calling yourself a democratic socialist with without actually having the balls to back it up, I wouldn't go so far to say that.
Okay. All right. All right, man.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Like I said, I was just filling the time. Thanks. I was just bored. You have yourself a lovely night. If you're getting up to do something else, man. Thanks. Thanks for having me up.
Later, bro.
Yeah, you have a good one, dude.
All right, Zyrex, you're up, right? In my personal opinion, right? I mean, I love Alan, right? I love Alan, but I don't believe he disproved my point, right? I believe the rhetoric from the left, from Democrats, okay, are harmful. Not all. Again, I gotta always repeat it, right? It's not all, but I believe that maybe controversially, I'm not saying I have a study or anything on it, but I believe the majority are hateful towards America, right? I believe it's hateful towards America. And you know what? Something that I believe it's hateful towards America is that you need to constantly paint America as ugly, right? So constantly said America's racist when I don't believe America as a whole is racist. On the individual level, sometimes the left doesn't understand it's human, right? Humans are jerks, right? Humans are terrible people. So, that's how I see it, right? Let's say saying America is racist or sexist, which we're not. Plenty of women in power, plenty of women that are achieving great things. To also say that, we made, it's like we promote, right, the LGBT, the alphabet community. So to say that it's to say that we maybe oppress or take away rights from the alphabet community, to be honest, it's just another idea, another view, another thing I see that honestly the left needs to push to paint to say America's terrible because to promote a victimhood, which Alan did say he agreed with, right? Where how the Democrats push a victimhood mentality. They need a villain, right? They need someone they need the evil villain, right, to garner those votes, to garner that basis. And that's my problem, right? That's my problem with the left. That's my problem with the Democrats, where they need to paint the struggles, right? They need to paint the oppressors and the oppressed. They need to paint that, right? They need that image. So in my view, doing that is just another indicator of, honestly, you hate your country, because you need your country to be a villain so you can, have a voting block. So that's how I see it. That's how I view it. And to be honest, a lot of time, and again, I respect Alan for his opinion, right? I mean, like I said, the guy can be a jerk, but it's all good, right? He's young and, he's very emotional. He's very opinionated, which is great. I love the guy still, right? I still love the guy. But yeah, loud ice cream truck. I get it. My sister. I get it. But you know what? Let's while we're waiting, let's continue watching this thing for a little bit more.
We'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now.
I feel that there's a threat to our democracy, and I have to go with who our current president is, just based on what's going on in our world. I feel like there's a stacked Supreme Court.
Oh, he is emotional. The guy's emotional. We could definitely disagree on that. You change your image again.
Oh, did I?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hold on. Well, that was interesting. I mean, I like listening to you and Alan go back and forth.
Yes, I mean, I as as contentious as it may be, I do love talking to the guy, right? I mean, he gives a different perspective, and I also want to say this, right? We don't have to agree, right? Just my main point is that I think the best thing we could do is actually foster a conversation, right? Between even if two people disagree, fostering a conversation is so important. I hate that, a lot of times in our, online, we hate each other. And I think, if I would say anything, right, the worst part is that we can't come together to just talk, right? We don't have to agree. But the problem with the left and the right is that we can't come together and just talk. And you know what? Maybe controversially, maybe we could agree or disagree on it. We'll see. Is that I think it's the left that fosters that division by being intolerant of wanting a conversation, or being fine with listening to different viewpoints without being emotional, right? And this is why I try not to antagonize or insult anyone to my best of my abilities. Sometimes I could get emotional myself. It's within human beings. But I try to promote it where I don't mind people with different viewpoints, right? I think we need that, right? So that's my thing.
No, I agree. Like a lot of times, like online, as soon as you disagree with like a point, then they start insulting you. They start calling you names and saying that, oh, you're stupid, and they don't even want to talk to you. And to me, it's like I feel like, well, the reason why I come online and have conversations is because, well, for one, I like to know, like people's, like their thought process, why they believe, what they believe. And it's, and I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that I'm not trying, like I'm trying to, change their mind, but in a way we are, right? Because we're having conversations, people listening, and sometimes you do get influenced by what people say. And so, like, do I have a certain message to push? Not anything big, I'm all for like happiness, nuclear family, you know, That's what I usually like. Yeah, like I would say promote, but like other than that, I used to, do politics, but it got crazy. It
Yes.
got super crazy. So I'm like, you know what? No, I'll just listen.
And, I agree, right? I mean, politics and religion is such a touchy subject to people. And that's why hopefully, that's why I have Alan, and that's why I want to
Mhm.
have you on more often, is that I want to show that, what? I mean, we don't have to agree, right? And we don't have to necessarily, if we can, this is a thing where and sometimes Alan would say, right? He's like, oh, I see your point, or I'll say I see his point. Whether we agree or disagree with that point, it's up to us. But I mean, the most important part is like, I think it's a good benefit to show each other that we can talk to each other like human beings, right? Like respectful human beings.
Mhm.
And, it's up to the viewers if they, like if they agree or disagree, it's up to them. But I think it's always a good thing to show them that, what, at the very least, we could talk to each other respectfully, right? I think that's the
Mhm.
part. That's the most important part for me, right? Where we could talk to each other.
No, I definitely agree with you there. You know, like you have to have conversations. You just have to. I mean, if you want people to sort of think more like you, especially when it comes to politics, because you want people to vote, um, you know, like you, I guess, in a way, you want the majority of people to have the same kind of values that you have, and so in order to convince like the other side, you have to have conversations with them. You have to.
Yes,
That's the
I
least
agree.
you could do.
I agree. So, I mean, um, again, my thing for tonight, I didn't expect Alan to come on, so I had a different kind of trajectory, but we could start with that, right? I mean, we'll see how this conversation goes, and I could maybe jump back to the original trajectory, but
Mhm.
if the conversation goes well, or it's fluid, or it's I don't know, a good direction, then we stick with it. But you've seen most of it. You've seen the conversation between us, right?
Mhm.
I've said this where I disagree with what he said. Where I've heard his points, right? But certain things he said proves to me more, right? Certain things he said proves to me more why I personally believe, and not all, right? Not all, but
Mhm.
I personally believe the majority, or at least where we live in the digital age, right? So how I see majority is really through the lens of social media. So I want to preference that. That's how I see it.
Mhm.
Maybe we either see it differently thanks to the algorithm or not. So, I want to preference that. So, that's my basis. How I see that the left or Democrats, right? Politicians as Democrats, the left as people, right? As the average people, liberals as the average people, how they hate America, right? So some things that he point out, right? Things he point out, racism, and sexism, or being homophobic or whatever, right? Those things, in my personal opinion, from the left, is just more evidence to me why the left Democrats hate America. Because, in my opinion, and I personally believe, as I love this country, we are not, as a country, we are not racist. As a country, we're not sexist. As a country, we're not homophobic. Any of that stuff, personally believe. We could have a debate on that, but I believe that we're not. And because Democrats, politician wise, and the regular people, liberals and the left, they need to push that narrative because they need victims. They need the oppressed. They need to create the oppressor so they can have oppressed. They can have their voting basis as oppressed, and that's how they garner their votes, by people who feel oppressed. Okay, you feel oppressed. Who should you vote for? Right, the Democrats, who are not oppressing you. It's the right. It's the white supremacists. It's conservatives or whatever. Those are the oppressors. So that is the viewpoint, and in my opinion, that is a detriment, because that is what's creating the divide what I personally believe, the left is the one who creates the divide. And
Okay.
yeah. So, what do you think?
Well,
And I
well,
can give
first of
examples.
all,
So I'm
well, first,
just
well, first of all, like if you feel like someone is being, racist towards you, you know, don't you think that they have a reason to hate that person because that person is hating on them? I'm not saying that, of course I don't believe that Democrats or the left hates America, but I'm just saying, like um if they feel like the majority, which is, the founders, the white people, for the most part, hates them, then I think it's only right for them to feel, a little bit hatred back because they feel like they didn't do anything. They were brought over here and you know, were slaves and stuff like that, and that's why they feel a little bit hatred towards them. You don't think it's justified?
okay. Let me. I heard your point of view. Let me,
Mhm.
in my personal opinion, debunk it. Where here's the thing: where you kind of said it right. It's feelings. I feel this. I feel this, but prove it. Prove it. Here's my. I mean, this is controversial, right? And I've said this countless times before. I don't discredit the past of, let's say, black minorities, right? I don't discredit it. I 100% acknowledge it and see it. I know the harsh history, but controversially, it's controversial. Black people today, right, as a community, are more wealthy than any black people, any black community on this earth. So let's say hypothetical scenario, right? A hypothetical scenario, right, where no black people, right, were, went to America because whatever, right? I guarantee you the lives of black people, right? The black people that would have been here would have been drastically different, if not worse, right? At least comparatively, right? You compare it to, let's say, educationally, let's compare it to financially, luxury, whatever, okay? So, in my opinion, right, again, past is terrible, but you see the present where we have more, and I said this to Alan, right? We have more black millionaires uh, than any other nation on this earth, right?
No,
We've
I
had black
I
president, we had so many black people in power to show you that yes, the history is terrible. The present is not a actual reflection of the past. It
yeah,
is
I
a
I agree
clear
with you there. We have
difference.
progressed. Yes, I agree with you there. We have progressed as in our laws and stuff. Yeah. No more discrimination. Like I get that, no more redlining, Jim Crow. I understand that. Um, but okay, let me ask you this. Do you believe in, um you do believe in generational wealth, right?
I
Do
do.
you believe in, generational trauma?
No,
You
I,
don't?
I, I
You
believe
don't you don't see how
I
generational
believe you
trauma
can
could
make it.
affect? I'm
I
sorry,
believe
go
you
ahead.
can make an excuse. I believe you can make it an excuse. I don't believe that. Here's my and if you've seen my content, right? I'm 100% against victimhood, right? I'm 100% against victimhood, and I said this in a recent YouTube short. I I I don't believe, right? I said this before, where I'm I'm the person who believes in accountability, right? Whether I'm the left, right, whatever. If you can show me accountability, if you can show me, no delusion, no hypocrisy, I probably would agree with you. Where this is my thing, where I believe that I don't use an example of this, right? As a child, you can blame your parents for fucking up your life. You can blame your parents for
Mhm.
fucking up your life. As an adult, you can't, because as an adult, you have the autonomy to change your life. You have the autonomy to, you have the, the power, the autonomy to fix how your trajectory of your life. Okay. I think majority, now there's maybe that one case or that, 10% or whatever case that, it's impossible to do it. But I believe 90% of the time you have the power to change your life. So, that, even let's say a very easy generational curse, right? I said this before, where I have a baby mom, and I should have seen that generational curse, but I believe more in the human spirit, where her grandma was a baby mom, her mom was a baby mom, and because of her attitude, because of the situation, whatever, she became a baby mom because she, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's that. But in my belief, right, I believe that we have the power to change that. But so many people who let that as an excuse takes away accountability. So that's why I don't believe in generational curses, or not necessarily I don't believe it, but I'm a very
I get what
I
you're trying to say. I do get what you're trying to say because in a way, I do agree with you in a little bit where, yeah, that we have the power to change, yeah, just to, we have the power to change anything that we don't like. But see, the difference between, us and and say, get the black community is that sometimes, you know when it comes to generational trauma, it takes a while for it to, to change. And sometimes it takes, changing, the environment, in order to escape, the trauma, or escape that, lifestyle. Sometimes it takes um like moving away, or I mean, it's just like, I do get what you're saying, but I just feel like a lot of times, you know we tend to gloss over that. You know, we just want to, say, "Oh, they're victims," and but when you think about it, they are victims. Now, the kids of today, yeah, like they can't say this. I don't think they could use that as an excuse. These kids today, but but then, the kids of, yesteryears, they would be like around our age and stuff. I think for the most part, they are still a product of that generational trauma.
here's my thing where I've said this before. Maybe I can enlighten you on it. It only takes one generation to change, right? It only takes one generation. So why I say that we shouldn't, and this is why in my personal opinion, why and I want to clarify, right? I don't believe myself as a right. I believe myself as center right, right? I
Hmm.
lean more towards the right, but I'm more in the center. Personal opinion, right? People whether disagree with me or not. Why I would even lean towards the right is that no, you are not a victim. 100%, you are not a victim. Because why I hate the left in pushing is that, and you just said, you just pushed it yourself, right? And whether, I mean, not no slight against you, but you push it yourself where it's the victim. No, you're not a victim, because here's the thing, and I don't know if you see it. When people think they're the victim, they use it as an excuse. If you don't have that victim mindset, you are that generation that will change. You are that generation will you stop being the baby mom. You will create your generational wealth. You will buy that house, or you will have that six-figure savings. So you, right, as that, I don't know, black individual or any kind of minority, you will be the one who would create. You will be the start of that generational wealth. But because we have, and I've seen it, I live in the black community. I see it, that victim mindset. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this because racism, the white man, white supremacy, the government, all this shit, or my parents, this, my whatever. I can't do it, right? And that is my problem with it. And that's my problem with, the left, where I believe the right has the right way to do it. Pick yourself out of the bootstrap. Quit thinking about the past. Now, I agree with Alan in the sense that we should learn about the past. We shouldn't be shackled to the past. And that is the problem I have with the left, with the Democratic Party. They want to shackle you to the past, to sexism, to homophobia, to racism, so you can keep on dependent on them, keep on voting for them, and keep on believing in white supremacy, which is, I think, is stupid. Keep on believing in misogyny, keep on believing in racism, keep on believing in these stupid things, when, to be honest, there are so many points in time that we have shown that, you know what, it's not a problem anymore. Civil Rights Act, you know, gay marriages. We made all these, you know, points in history that shows you that no, America isn't, let's say, racist or sexist or all this shit, because we made points in our history to change certain things. So every time I believe we changed it, we are not it anymore. Now, again, on the individual level, on the, you know, in our own little sphere, I've said this before, humans are humans. We are jerks. Yeah. We are terrible people, right? We've done terrible things to each other. So to say that America's racist because, okay, let's say a white person called you the N-word. Again, this is my problem with the left. You negate human nature in a way, right? We are jerks to each other. We are terrible to each other, right? So that's my problem when saying that, oh, we're racist. No, we're not racist. We're just jerks to each other, right? Or, you know, a man doing something terrible to women. No, we're just terrible to each other. So,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. You're saying that we're not racist, but then, you know, yeah, like if you believe that we're not a racist country, then why are you resorting to racist, you know, like insult? Like why aren't you being a better person?
At the end of the day, we can't control the individual, because this is the thing where I
understand that.
No, I like to use this analogy where we have laws, we have punishments to, you know, to punish the criminals, right? We have deterrents for criminals, yet no matter what, we have criminals. Hell, there are certain states that have death penalties and people still kill each other. People still do certain things. So at the end of the day, a lot of times the left negate humans are humans in a certain way where, you know, you say, why do people say racist things? Because they're terrible people. Being a terrible person doesn't mean that you're a terrible country.
Yeah, but right? I don't think, well, yeah, I don't think, you know,
this is the problem where I would never think that, oh, we could end racism or we could end sexism, because at the end of the day, there will always be a man that thinks then he's better than a woman. There will always be, let's say, a person that's like racist to whatever, because there will always be a person that will always commit crime, regardless of negatives. Because at the end of the day, human beings are very flawed, right? So I don't believe, and I said this if you saw when I talked to Alan, right? I love the utopian idea, but that's where I think that it's stupid, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't include human nature. It doesn't include how humans are. So unless you want to like do a Minority Report, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, right? Where we predict people, right? We predict who's going to do a crime. We predict, you know, bad behavior well before it ever starts. Unless we're doing something crazy like that and get rid of people who ever do something bad, then no, we can never do that as a human being. So where I say that, you know what? And I've experienced racism. Let's say I've experienced racism to black people being racist to me. Doesn't mean that I hate all black people. So that's the mindset that I'm promoting, right? Whether, let's say, a white person is racist to you, well, so what, right? That doesn't mean that all white people are racist. So that doesn't mean that the country is racist. If a white person is racist towards you, right? Again, we constantly said that, oh, black people are not a monolith or we're not a monolith. Okay, then go with that mindset, right? We can't say, oh, if a black person is, let's say, stereotypically black, but then you say, oh, black people are not a monolith, to say that all black people are, you know, whatever, stereotypical, then okay, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent with that logic. You can't say that a white person is racist towards you, so white supremacy or America's racist. No, that's inconsistency.
I definitely agree with you there. Now I don't know if the Black community are saying that, you know, oh, because they've been slighted or they feel like you know, people are being racist towards them and that's why they're unable to get to where they're at. I think for the most part all they're asking is for like for what is owed to they feel like it's owed to them. Right. And so that's usually, you know, I know people on the right don't like it, but you know, like if our country has done wrong to a certain population, then we should always like correct our wrong. We did it to the Japanese, right?
maybe I could change your mind on this, right? And the Japanese, we did it. We paid them back in one generation, so that's the difference, right? Like
Yeah, but
there's.
then we never paid them back at all though with the black
Let me change
community.
your. Let me see if I could change your mind on this, right? How that's the propaganda again that the left or Democrats want to use. Like I said in the beginning, it's the trying to create victims. So why do I believe that? Honestly, in my opinion, the reparations, that's stupid. Why? Because let's say this. America has given opportunities where there, like I said, in my opinion, America as a whole has given the black community as much as it could given because of, let's say, like the long generations, right, of it, in the sense that we have, all systems, right, like all kind of aids, like uh, every president, almost every president, I believe, right, has given millions of taxpayers' money to, let's say, HBCUs, right, college only, black only colleges, has given millions, if not billions, to black communities, black business, to promote black business. So if you look at government's aids and
Yeah, but then they've been doing that to the white community though.
no, those been geared towards only black people, right? Those are geared towards only black people. Now you can't say that, oh, they did to white people. So what? No one's saying that you shouldn't give to other Americans, but if
Yes,
you give,
okay,
if you
then
put aside money,
exactly. So then why are you using that? Why are you using that the grants and stuff towards black? Why are you using that as okay? That this is paid the debt that it's paid when now you're just like because now that we've given the black community rights and given them opportunity, it's like okay the pie the pie um that the money comes in now it's split towards them. It's okay you don't then go, okay, this is your debt paid. No, we still have a debt that's needs to be paid.
I first of all, we don't have a debt that needs to be paid, in my opinion, because to be honest, again, you can't, you just can't say there's a debt to need to be paid, because that means you be saying that, okay, the black Americans right now are suffering from slavery. No, they're not, right? And in my opinion, again, they're not even their lives are not in the result because of slavery. But that aside, is that, again, that's not how the government works. The government is not going to, like, okay, all my money is just going to go to all this group. No, but the government has set aside. They have given, Dizzy, Zyrex is a girl. But they have set aside. They have given money to the black community. Only it's geared towards the black community, and multiple presidents have done it, right? Multiple presidents have done it. So, in my honest opinion, reparation. Plenty of people say reparation. Give to the black community. Almost every administration have given to the black community, and you see, you see what they've done. So I can say that, okay, that could be called reparations already. But in my opinion, I just don't.
That doesn't make sense. I don't know how you could see that as our past presidents have given money to the black community when they've never
They have.
because they have become citizens, and so just like how they've been funding public education and stuff like that. Yeah, they funded public education, but then for the black community, that's not a debt paid.
I never said. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying the debt paid, right? Because I believe that it shouldn't be. They have no. In my personal opinion, they have no debt paid.
Free labor, and you're saying that there's no debt
for what?
Free labor.
Free labor. Here's my thing. Where let me give you a hypothetical world, right? Where, let's say, before Jim Crow, before end of slavery, all the terrible white people decided not to free slaves. Do you believe that, like, in this hypothetical world, right, where white people decide not to free slaves, do you believe that slaves would be free? If all white people or majority of white people decided that black people would not be free, do you believe that slavery would have ended?
So you think the white people did black people a favor by freeing them?
Can you tell me the opposite? I'm not saying
that's what you're saying. You're saying that, oh, you should be thankful that we freed you.
I'm not saying be
when
thankful.
you slaved us in the beginning.
Again, here's the thing where I'm saying that we have corrected our wrongs. America has constantly tried, right? Constantly trying to correct their wrongs. And I agree that they should, right? Because you should correct your wrongs. But again, there's a certain point where, like, it's like the mentality where, okay, give me money, continue to give me money. Because again, it's always like, okay, the past. This is the thing, right? I said, it's the
It's because
shackles.
we have not paid the debt. If we had paid the debt from the
What is
get
the
go,
debt?
we
This
wouldn't
is the
have
thing where
this problem.
no, because we have spent, right? Again, it's not. I'm not saying that it's geared towards debt, but we have spent. I said every presidency has spent dozens of millions, dozens of billions, strictly towards the black community. How much
No,
is the debt?
towards its citizens.
No. They literally geared, right, programs only towards black community. Like I already just said, right?
Yeah, but then before
Obama
that,
got it
it's been towards
towards
white people, though.
no, they're not.
Yes.
HSBCs are not predominantly white, right? Those are not white colleges. Those are black colleges,
Well,
and
of course, you're gonna fund colleges for black because they want to allow black to go into the white colleges,
are they
and those
funding?
white colleges were being funded.
Are they funding college for predominantly white people? What colleges are government funding for only white people?
What do you mean? Before
What I mean
black
is
could go to college, it's just white people that were going to college,
but but still, that doesn't
and
change the
they wouldn't
argument.
let black people go into their college. So that's why they have to fund college, so that way black people could go to their to college.
No. Actually, the government doesn't have to fund it, right? They choose to fund it, right? They're choosing to fund it. Nowhere in our system says the government has to fund black colleges. They're
I know,
choosing to fund.
I know exactly, and that's why, like I said, the government chose to fund education for its citizen.
No. Again, they're
Yes,
not. They're not. Again, no. Name me other. They're not choosing to fund for other because if you say that, right, you got to think they're not paying other colleges, right? They're not funding other colleges for the citizen. What other colleges?
they are.
Like what? Besides for
You don't think
federal grants.
public education is free, and colleges, colleges used to be free.
Okay, but that still doesn't change in what I said.
No, colleges used to be free, so
I know.
that means government has been funding colleges. So if they're not,
No,
if black
citizens
people were free, right? They were free,
are funding
right?
college.
But then you don't want them to go into the white school, so of course you're gonna have to fund, what you call, build a college, so that way black people could go to college too, because black people are free and they're your citizens. Should you not to help take care of your citizens?
Again, I
You
didn't
just
say
because it's not like they've been saving money because they've been working for free. So how are they supposed to pick themselves up by the bootstraps when
who's
they've
working.
never been paid,
Who's
have
never
no
been.
education, can't read? Like, I
Can
don't
I
understand.
see? That's the thing where you don't, like you said, you don't understand. Who's working for free? You let me.
Why do you think they're slaves? You think slaves got money?
Who's a slave? Who's a see? That's the problem. This is the problem with the Democrats and the left. You constantly bring slave, but who's a slave today? Right? You only need one generation to like. This is my thing, right? Where you gotta look at a clear example. You can look at Asian immigrants, right? They start pretty much at the same spot as Black Americans. They're coming into a country where they have really no standings, and they're improved, right? They are pretty much the highest incoming family out of all groups. You keep on saying that they're slaves, or because again, this goes back to what I said before, right? Slavery isn't affecting Black people today, 100%. It's
No,
not.
no, it's not personally affecting them, but it affects, you know, um, how it affects their the kind of choices that they can make. And what I mean by that is, say, what you call it, white families, right? They get free labor. They've been able to make money, right? So black people, of course, they weren't able to make money. So when by the time they were free and stuff, so that means that they had, a late start.
Can I
So
ask you?
when you have a late start, that it's going to take a couple generation to accumulate wealth.
Okay. So think about that mindset, right? So why are Asian immigrants outdoing even white people right now?
Well, see, for the most, that's where culture sort of comes to play, and plus we weren't, because when we now it depends what kind of Asian you're talking about, right? Like the Vietnamese, the Cambodians, the Hmong, like we were able to, when we came over here, we were able to go on welfare and stuff like that. See, now blacks they weren't able to go on welfare.
And what are
Well,
you talking
I'm talking about by the time that they were free, up until was it after World War II when when welfare was introduced? That was when yeah, it was what you would call it. I guess everybody could if I mean, of course you have to qualify for it, but if once qualified, yeah, are able to get welfare to
Yeah,
sort of
but
help you, right?
yeah, but Asian. Let's even if I grant you the path of welfare, Asian people predominantly didn't. I mean, like they came during the same time that other minorities were able to get welfare. It wasn't like Asian people had welfare before Black people. That's not true at all.
No, no, that's not what I said. It's sort of like how to let me try to explain this. It's like like they had to go. I'm not talking about Asians. I'm talking about the Black community. You know, they had to suffer like a lot of, I would even say, yeah, discrimination and a lot of setbacks, a lot of obstacles to try to get by. Well, as in Asians, we came here. Yeah, we have a few obstacles, and then we have to overcome a little bit here and there, but it's nothing compared to what the Black community
Could you
has
give me
gone
a
through.
comparison? Because this is the thing, right? Us as here's the thing where we'll probably get hate for it, but talking about the Black community, they always hate it. But how I always like it as an Asian person, right? Hopefully, I could, maybe and get you to think a bit, okay? Where what is the difference, right? Because people always say, oh, Black people, they live a, they're more, I don't know, they're more oppressed than Asian people come straight off the boat. Asian people, right? I mean, I'm first generation Asian,
Me
so I mean,
too.
yeah. So it's like it's not like I'm a third, fourth, fifth generation Asian person. So I've seen the struggles. So I always find it like, in all honesty, in my honest opinion, right? Growing up, I mean, I'm old as I am. I live with Black people, right? I still live with, in the hood, and well, not still live in the hood, but I've lived in the hood a good chunk of my life.
Me too.
I don't agree that Black people they lived a worse life than Asian people. To be honest, in my opinion, we live pretty much the same. We had the same struggles, the same oppression. The problem is that first, I don't believe it's a high level of oppression, and I believe that it's like
It's
you
poverty usually.
culture, right?
Yeah, that's why, like I said, it's a little bit culture and it's poverty.
But we both were poor.
Oh,
Are you there?
okay, you're back. Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, we were both poor, right? So that's
Yes.
why I want you to maybe think of it in a different perspective. Where, in my opinion, why I think the way I think about, let's say, the Black community is that I looked at Asian people. We were both at the same starting point, right? I mean, not like I'm talking about slavery, but I'm talking about modern day Black people, right? Modern day Black people were at the same starting point. We both live in the hood, but one group of people, right, succeeded, while the other group generally didn't.
Yeah.
I have to think
What is
about
no? I know. I get that. But what is okay? What's a guarantee? What guarantees usually a success? A family, right? A nuclear family. 11. 11 family, right?
yeah.
And Asians, we are. socially, yeah, conservative. We are, we do value families and stuff like that. And so, so of course, when we came here, we stuck together and we help out one another.
Hmm.
With Black people, they start off like that too, until what happened, until the community, and the family, like, how do I say this? Like started to,
Well, let me
to break off. And it's
but
due to, a lot of factors that's caused by the government.
here's my thing, right? I learned this. Uh, I don't know if this is gonna give you some enlightenment, right? I learned this like a year or two ago, maybe three. Um, this study, this fact is a fact that changed my mindset completely. During Jim Crow, during Jim Crow, which is one of the periods of worse for the Black community. They had the highest marriage rates. They were growing. They had one of the biggest growth in economics out of all groups of people. Right. So biggest marriage rate. They had more marriages than even white people. But after Jim Crow, that drastically, right, drastically dropped. And you got to think, Jim Crow was a terrible
Exactly.
year, but that was after Jim Crow, after we ended a racist, time period. So you got to think. I personally believe it's not because of the white man, but it's because of a magnitude of reason. There's probably a magnitude of reason, but I just believe that it's the falling off of actually having community, right? Where I believe the differences between Asian people is that we stick together. While I don't believe it's the white people, but I believe it's just how a lot of Black communities now they have pushed towards what
No,
here
see,
maybe
no. By the time Asians came to what you call America, the Black family has already dissipated. So it was already like broken. It was already broken home. See,
yeah.
so that's why like you said, oh, how come Asians tend to do better? Well, because when Asians came here, we were still together,
Hmm.
and Black families for the most part it's already been broken. What you said right there, it makes sense. During entering Jim Crow, the Black family was still a family, still a unit. But after Jim Crow, it was mostly broken. It's because of the Jim Crow, laws and stuff. When you have a family and you can't find a job, or you can't live this place, or like you have a house, but then they're not willing to pay, to pay like pay for your house, at its right, but rightful price or whatever. Like when you have all these obstacles, like I said, going against you, it's going to cause you stress. It's going to cause you problems within a family, and that's how families end up breaking and breaking apart. You have, of course, you're going to have, if you're a couple, you're going to be like, you can't find a job. How are we going to eat? How, when you're constantly stressing, yeah, you're going to grow apart from one another. See how? See, that makes sense.
I I I mean, like it's not like I don't agree with the whole like yeah you could grow apart, but like this is the thing where you gotta how I see is like the problem is that again nothing that the Black community experienced that again modern day Black people I'm not of course Asian people didn't experience Jim Crow and slavery and shit like that. That's again I don't want to use that as the basis of what I'm talking about. Uh, let's see. No, okay. I mean, I'll ask her that question a little bit later. Um, but how I see is that this is the problem. What I said, it's the victimhood where you know you have the I could I might I don't want to go off a tangent, but I might have to use it. Is that I believe feminism hurt the Black community. I believe you know dependent on the welfare state hurt the Black community. I believe that destroying their push for community hurt the Black community, and that's the problem where you got to be more um, got to have some more autonomy, right? Where I believe that, Asian people didn't, they don't allow those changes, right? So, we push, and this is kind of why I'm more on the right, where pushing conservatism, right? Pushing the nuclear family is, in my opinion, I believe, I can look at the stat. I haven't looked at the stat, but I believe more Asian people are, right leaning than they are left leaning. And you wonder why, because they agree more, not in totality, but they agree more with the right. And in my opinion, right, we see a generation after generation why the black community predominantly votes for the left, votes for Democrats. That has not been the right kind of ideology for black people. And you're seeing how I personally believe the ideology of Democrats, the ideology of the left, has been a detriment to the black community. And you can see the difference with, again, I could probably look it up. I probably should look it up. That I believe Asian people don't fall into that, or at least generally, Asian people don't fall into the Democrat Party or the left, because they don't view that as beneficial for a community, right? For their community. So I don't, this is part of why, I believe that the left and Democrats has been a detriment to our society.
You say that, right? You say that the right is the party of conservatism and traditionalism and stuff. But then, when you see the marriage rate, the divorce rate, a high divorce rate, it's like, that's not conservatism. That's not traditionalism. They're not, living up to what they say that they believe in.
Wait, what do you mean?
So what could be the reason why they vote for the right then?
Wait, repeat that again.
You said that the right is a party of what you call traditionalism, conservatism.
Yeah.
Right? Nuclear family. But then with the high divorce rate, the whole red pill movement and stuff like that, where, men don't even want to marry anymore. How is that? Why are they still voting for the right then?
Well,
obviously the right is not the party of traditionalism and conservatism.
Well, it's a bigger thing, right? I always say this, right? This is
I'm
why
a progressive, and I live, and I have, traditional, values. I have, I guess you could sort of say the epitome of the conservative woman, the housewife.
No, here's my thing. Where I've said this, where, like I said, why I say I'm center right, not fully right, is because, yes, I agree that necessary Republicans is not 100%, pushing certain ideologies that would promote, things that I believe would push more conservative values or whatever. That's why I don't completely fall on that side. But it's comparatively, right? That's my thing. Where if you compare two sides, what would be more, right? More conservative or more push towards nuclear family than the other side? Of course, is Republican, right? They are more leaning towards that kind of side. Now, do they actually accomplish it, or are they actually doing it? That could be argued about, right? But I'm saying, if you compare the two sides, which is kind of sad that we have mainly a two-party system, but that's what we have to choose from, right? We have to choose from either two parties. So if I could choose which I think, that could be another topic, right? I definitely think that we should have more than one party or more than two parties. But again, that's the thing, where if you have to choose between two parties, well, you choose the one that's more leaning towards a nuclear family. That's my opinion, right? That's my opinion on what you just said. So.
Yeah, but I don't see the Republicans, being for the party of family. And so that's why, that's just me personally.
For me, it's like,
that's because my, like how I vote, like what I prioritize, like number one, I'm for, like, I'm trying, like, who I vote for, like they have to be, I'm like a huge advocate for like the regular people, average people, us average working class, basically working class and the lower class, right? And so I'm gonna see who is all about helping the lower class and helping the middle class, because I feel like because I love America and I want our government to help our citizens. We have so many homeless people and a lot of kids with problems, behavior problems and stuff like that, overworking parents, and now people don't want to get married, people don't even want to have kids.
Well,
And
let me.
so go ahead.
Well, I would say this one. There are policies that the right do push that promotes family. IVF or no abortion. So that is kind of a right leaning thing. I mean, yes, could they do more? Of course, they could do more. But I also want to say this. Do you even believe personally, right?
Mhm.
How you see the landscape? I mean, like I remember. I think you said or your age already. Um, do you? How would you say? Right. Again, still stick with the topic because I
Mhm.
do believe Democrats and liberals are they don't love America. They are down. They for just the destruction of America, in my opinion. How has Democrats actually are for the working people or for the poor or whatever? What would you? How would you? You know, how can you make that argument if you make that argument?
What do you mean? You guys, uh, Republicans are always trying to cut off, the the Department of Education. They're always trying to, they're always talking about, cutting off Social Security, welfare.
Well,
So
I mean,
how is that? If you cut that off, how's that helping? The disabled people
well,
that can't work, the homeless people.
I do want to correct you a little bit, right? Where that's not how you have a debate with asking a question with me. But
Don't act like you care about babies, okay?
well, I
No,
mean,
no, I'm sorry. That was a towards you. That was a towards you. That was a towards you.
okay. Well, I mean, I'm saying like, let me say this, right? I'm more saying this. You, I don't know if you heard with me when I was talking with Alan about I do believe, you know, Republicans' views on, let's say, the cutting off the federal education department is a good thing because it lets your state control it, and us as ordinary people have more control over our state than we do our federal government, right? Because we
You know what?
directly
I'm
vote
for that.
for our state electives, right? So that makes more sense, and that's why this is why again I said to Alan, right, why I lean more towards the right because that is more sensible. Now, again, if you heard we talked about the Democratic Party, there's flaws in that because whatever. But again, that makes more sense. So that should not be a gripe that you have because because again, we are old enough. Me and you are old enough to see that what actually since like the federal education, all that shit, our education has gone downhill. It hasn't improved. So this is why
So,
this is why
so where do you get the idea that if you cut off the funds completely, that's going to improve education? Remember, we're talking about our citizens here.
but here's the thing where our state
Yeah, both parents that are
our,
working to be able to pay bills. So who's going to be teaching kids if not for public education?
our state will fund it.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But then blue states will be, blue states will prosper, and then the red states, you're just gonna have a bunch of dumbass babies.
Well, that's first of all, right? First of all, you gotta think, right? Mississippi is actually doing better educationally than California, right? But I would say this, right? How
No,
I
they're
look at
not.
it, actually they are, right? It's just recently reported.
But even if they are, it's because of the
I'm
money that California makes goes into that big pool of money that gets evenly distributed between states. See, if you say because you want to cut that off, then yeah, then Mississippi's not going to get that money.
well.
Kentucky's not going to get that money. So where's
Here's
they
my
going to get the money to locally fund their education?
the
They're
states.
the red states are our brothers too.
How I viewed is that how I viewed is that each state, you elect an official that should improve your state. If you elect an official that ruin your state, that is your fault. That is up to you, right? I'm all for competition. I'm all for we
See, this
have
is
to.
how I know that the right does not care about America, because they don't care if what you call, if one sector of the population goes down.
No,
Yeah,
because
and you go, well, pick yourself up at the bootstrap. How is that caring about America? We're talking about our own citizens here, our neighbors.
okay,
Pick yourself up by your own bootstraps.
because
While we fund, while we have millions, not millions, billions of dollars going towards the what you call military, when we don't need it.
That's another conversation, because I'm not a.
That's
I'm
what I'm
not.
saying. And
No,
that's what the left is saying. It's like we have all this money that's going towards something that we don't need when we could be helping our own people. Well, at least that's what I'm saying.
well, but you got to think about this, right? I mean, even on state level, we're still funding. We're still giving taxes to our states, and the states themselves, right, are funding education. So this is the thing where, again, we're negating it, because we got to look at our history, right? So even the history like we've had before Trump, education hasn't been improving, right? Things haven't been improving. So this is why I would even side with Trump, because we do need changes. So for Trump changing it and saying, like, all right, let me get rid of something that's honestly haven't been working, and then let the states do their own thing. Let their states fund or create their departments to do what
Isn't
they
that
need.
what? Isn't that what they're doing though?
That they're literally giving the power back to the states. Well, no, whether the states do it or not, that's up to the state. And again, that's up to you, or I mean, not you, but the people electing the correct officials. Because, like I said, we have more power picking our state representatives than we do have power picking the president, or the Senate, whatever, the other houses of electives, right? We have more say in what's going on in our states than we do in our federal government. So
We're
that
talking about the Department of Education. It's already, that's already like handled, and like the funds are you know, how we fund our schools, what you call it, does come from the state, right? Majority, excuse me, hold on. Gosh, ooh, does come from majority of the state, right? And whatever they don't have enough, that's when they have to apply for grants and stuff to get from the federal level. Now, so like even if they were to disband the Department of Education under like on the federal level, I don't see how, it's going to do much of a difference. I think the only difference that it will make is that you have red states that, yeah, they are not going to send the kids to school. That will just have them stay home
why would you say that?
because the right is for homeschool.
Well, I mean, as parents, if that's their choice, that's their choice. It's not like you're
Yeah,
forced.
but then we live in an economy where you need both parents to work. We're already in that where both parents have to work. So then who's going to teach the kids? That was my,
Well, I
original
mean,
question.
In red states, there's a lower cost of living, so there's a little bit difference. But I would say this, right? It's also on the individual level, right? If you can't provide for it, if you can't provide, that kind of life for your kids and your family, then you don't do it, right?
Then
It's
don't
like,
complain about the population. Then the declining of birth rates,
why shouldn't you complain about that? I don't. Why is that correlating?
because you're saying that, well, if you can't make enough, then don't have kids. But then yet cry about the birth rate.
Well,
It's the right that's crying about the birth rate.
no, because you got to think, right? Marriage rates are low. So we're not even combining people, right? A man and a woman are not even getting together to combine finances, right?
Yeah.
They're living separately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's because of the economy, though. That's what I'm saying. That's why, as a government, if you care about your people, then you would kind of do something, trying to find solutions to fix that problem.
Well,
But we're not.
Again, I think I think you're.
And then you want to cry immigration. You want to cry, low birth rates and stuff like that. See, that's what I'm saying. you know, we the problem, we both have similar problems, but then it's the solution that's different. And I'm just saying that, people on the left, it's because
What's the
I know that,
solution?
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's the solution on the left? More immigrants?
Did I say so? No,
No, no.
no, that's the thing. I said, don't.
Asking because you say a lot of things about the right or Republicans, but what's the solution on the left?
No, if
I can tell you what
if
the
you need
solution.
more workers, how else are you going to get workers?
Did you? This is the thing where people should be. This is the problem I have with the left, where actual Americans should be working those jobs. We should be paying people more. We should be
I
paying
agree.
people. Yeah.
I
So
agree. But then,
but you
but
got to think, right? If you have
the
illegal
right
immigrants,
doesn't want to increase minimum wage, though. They're
but
against minimum wage.
you can force their. You don't need a minimum wage, right? You can force employers' hands to pay more because they need workers, right? But they can subsidize workers.
You think workers are going to oblige?
Huh?
You think companies are going to oblige?
Well, at the end of the day, you could force their hands if they have no workers.
I agree.
What are you gonna do?
No, I definitely agree there. But then that's what I'm saying. A lot of times the argument that's being made is that, yeah, you could force, like if companies need workers, then yeah, you could force them by increasing minimum wage and stuff like that. But are companies going to are they going to be okay with it? No, which is why they go, what you call, outer,
Bankrupt?
no,
Yeah,
overseas.
they outsource.
Yeah,
Well, again, you do understand that that's what Trump is also against too. He has taxed them. He has taxed people for outsourcing. He's gone after companies that outsource. So, to be honest, I've seen good things from Trump, right? And I agree with this is the thing where we got to think about it prospectively, right? You said that the right is not making, steps. They are, right? And that's why certain things that, why the right would agree, okay, let's lower immigration. Let's get rid of illegal immigration.
I'm for that.
Yeah, let's push, these companies, whether, they either go broke or they change their ways by paying actual American citizens more to work these jobs. So can't say that, who's going to work these jobs? And well, you got to pay more so people will work these jobs. So again, I think, that it could be solved if we're all on the same.
Definitely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we do agree on a lot of stuff. It's just the way to go about it is maybe just different. And we see with me, I would never say that the right like doesn't love America stuff, because I know that like everybody here, you're American citizen. Yeah, you care about your I would hope that you care about not just your family but your neighbors, your fellow Americans and stuff. And so with me, when I talk about politics, I'm always, going to have, I always want to make sure that that's, front and center. Is that just because this person may be, from this neighborhood or may be like this, it doesn't matter. If they're down and trodden, we should help them. We should give them a hand. And the government is run by us, and because it's for us. So they should be run by us. They are run by us. Should be for us and everything.
No, I could tell you this, right? I could tell you, I could tell Alan this too, right? I 100% love America. I am for the American people. I'm not for the government. I'm for the American people. I'm for the prospering of America and its people. So, if you can ever say something that want to change my mind, it's to tell me that, okay, the American people will actually suffer, or the American people are actually suffering. What the problem is with a lot of people, Democrats or the left, is that they can't prove it. They can't show it. They can't.
Why do we have to prove it?
Because this is the thing.
How about you guys prove what?
No.
You don't hear the left, asking you guys to prove. So why is it necessary for us to prove? The fact that like we are engaging and we're trying to find solutions for America, should that not let tell you that I care? Because if I didn't care, then I wouldn't even bother having this conversation, right?
You know why? You know why I said to prove it is because the left is the one touting out America is terrible, or
Because it is.
America, or it's not. What is terrible
No,
about it?
it's not that it's terrible as in, oh my God, ugh. It's terrible as in it's not living up to its, um, what we want it to be, what it could be. That's the thing. It's like, it's like when like if you're kids, right? If you have a kid and, it has some sort of like bad behavior traits, you point it out, you point it out so that way they know to correct it or trying to find solutions. You bring it up, you talk about it so that way again you could find solutions for it. That doesn't mean you hate your kid just because you point it out. It's just that, because this person keeps exhibiting these kind of behaviors and it needs to be fixed. So that's why you point it out, you have to often point it out.
Hmm. You got me? You still here?
Yeah, I still see
Okay.
it.
Well, here's the thing where, like I said, with the where I get into that is that sometimes we self-diagnose, right? Sometimes we are, we think we're doctors. This is my problem with the left and Democrats. You think there's a problem because you believe there's a problem. When, in all honesty,
Our problems are never valid. It's only your problems are valid, right? DA.
well, to be honest, here's my thing. I don't believe there's a problem. So that's why I'm not there's no my problems are valid. I don't believe there's a problem. I don't believe there's a problem at all, right? Because
You think our country is running just fine?
I think our country is running. Here's my thing, right? Is there improvements? Of course, there could always be improvements, right?
Yes.
The problem is not, in my opinion, right? How I view it, right? How I view the left and Democrats. It's not about improving. It's about we are racist, so we need not to be racist. That's not an improvement because I don't believe this is the thing where could we? I mean, it's and my thing is like, okay, how I see it as an improvement, saying, okay, we're not racist, but you know what? I don't know. Could we be better in the human being in the individual level? Okay, maybe that's an improvement. But that's not how the left is going about it, right? The left is going about it is that we're racist and we need to change. No, that's not an improvement. It's that you want to change, right? You want to change because you believe
change.
And that's the problem, right? That's the problem because you need to create the image. Oh, you need to change this. When in my view, that's not a problem. We don't have that problem, right? It's the left creating that problem so they can. It's like a superhero, right?
If it didn't happen to them, then they wouldn't feel the need to bring it up, though.
It does because this is how I think. That's how you create the basis of your voter, right? You need.
Okay, so then when the white people were going reverse racism, was that valid?
No, I believe that's trying to show hypocrisy.
That was the right showing hypocrisy, or the left?
It was to show
because it was the right saying the right were saying reverse racism.
Yeah, it's to show you that you okay. If everything is racist,
because they feel like they were being slighted.
Well, don't you think that you're creating perpetual victims? If everyone believes there's racism, well, no surprise that white people will believe that they are also getting persecuted or oppressed and shit like that. If you constantly push this mindset that okay, we could continue racism, in my view, stop it with that BS for everyone. I believe I said this. This is why I said to Alan, we constantly negate that there's no nation on this earth that is as diverse as America. We can't be perfect because what are we comparing it to, right? We are. That's why I'm thinking about, right? Oh, we need to change. Change to what, right? We are actually, in my opinion, we are actually doing very well with what we got. Okay, now could we do improvements? Of course, right? To be honest, I've never heard any Democrat or the left saying what kind of improvements, but But I could agree that we do need to improve. We could always improve. But the problem isn't improvement. If the problem is changing. And that's my problem with it. That's my
Well,
problem with
when
the
you improve,
Democrats.
you do change. You have to change something in order to improve.
No, you don't have to. It's not a change. It's just improvement, right? Change is it's something. It's one way, and is a different way, right? Improvement is the same way. It's just getting better, right? That is improvement, right?
Well, you
So
have to change something in order to be better, though. Like
you have
if you always run late, and then you go, you know what, I'm gonna start, getting up 5 minutes early, so that way when I run so-called late, it's actually being on time. So you do have to, change something in order to become better.
no improvement is like, okay, you know what? I always run like 5 minutes late. I'm going to try to run 1 minute late. Change that down 1 to 2, whatever. Right? It's
So doing
improvement.
what though? By doing what though? By
By
changing something.
by
Do you
well,
you don't ever you don't ever
I mean,
concede.
you could. This is the thing where you could. This is the thing where how I see is that I don't believe America's running late. Right? That's how I see it. You could see it like, okay, you are running late, so you need to change that. I don't see we're running late, so I don't see that we're changing it. That's what. See, again, you still use the point where, okay, the bad part, you're running late. I don't see we're running late. So it's just like that. I don't see we're racist. You see you're
Yeah,
racist, so you need to change that. I don't. I
no,
see us, we're
I'm
not
not.
racist. And if we can
That's
improve
not
a
one of.
little bit, that's the thing. That's fine. But you already see that we're running late. I don't see we're running late. So of course you
Then
can say,
that means
okay,
you're,
this
yeah. That means that you refuse to see it though. How can you
no,
sit? How can you be what you call a citizen and say that, oh, America's running just fine when we have such a high population? I mean, high homeless rate. Our veterans are not being taken care of. We're about to go to war.
you're not see, okay.
Gas prices like $6. So how can you
Here's
sit there and say, oh no, America's running just fine?
I never said
That's crazy.
again, right? There's no place on this earth that has ended homelessness, right? So it shows you that we could improve, we could do better, right?
Yes.
Better. I'm not saying like we are doing fine, right? You compare to what? What other country is like doing better than us, right? That's the thing where it's like, of course we could do better, but to say that we're not doing fine is that you think that you think that because this is what I said to Alan too, right? Again, what other country on this earth has our level of population? So you can't be surprised that, okay, let's say we have a high homeless rate. Well, we have a high population. So imagine like India, they have a
Okay,
crazy
so
homeless rate. Or let's even China, where they have a huge population. I'm pretty sure their homeless rate is higher than ours if you compare it as a whole nation. So it's to say that,
so fuck
okay,
them.
huh? I didn't say, did
So
I say that? No. I said we can improve. We can
I
always do better.
know
But that's the
exactly. Yes.
But that's the problem. You have to create that. Oh my, America's doing terrible, or America's terrible. No, we're not. Right? We're not. But we could improve. I could always be on the side that yes, we could improve.
See, and this is
Right?
the problem why I said, like, if you were going to you're saying that Democrats don't care. I'm like, no, it's Republicans that don't care. You guys are doing fine,
Well, okay.
but your
What?
fellow Americans are not doing fine. But fuck it.
No,
Pick
no,
yourself
no.
up by the bootstrap. We're doing fine. Well, if you're not lucky, then oh well. At least we show some kind of improvement, little here and here, a little here and a little there. I thought every lives matter. People always want to bring up, baby deletion and stuff. Like, you don't give a shit about babies, unborn babies, because when they are born, you don't care about them. And see, this is why, like, why I said the left, they're passionate about stuff because they care. They do care about if you are born into this country, we want to make sure that, yeah, you are fed, that you have a roof over your head, because everybody comes from all walks of life. And as government, who we all pay taxes into, the least they could do is make sure that, no one starves.
I could disprove that. One, there's no democratic policy for homelessness. They haven't pushed any democratic policies for homelessness. To say that the left cares about children is kind of ridiculous because they don't. They're not pro children. They're pro abortion, right? To say that, so it's the same ideology that I don't want kids be born in poverty. So are you on the side to kill poor children? No. I mean, like, to be honest, also, what are Democrats' policies to improve, poverty? They don't have. It's like,
And what's the Republican policy then? I don't see their policy either.
Again,
So how can you see if you know that your side doesn't have policies to improve these, or to help combat these, problems that we're discussing? Then how can you then make a claim that, oh, the left don't care when your side don't even care also?
Here's the thing.
That's hypocritical on your end.
No.
See, I don't go around saying that, oh, the right don't care, because I know that, yeah, there's certain stuff that the left, it's not a priority for them, or a leftist politician, I'll say it like that. It's not a priority for them. I'm not going to then, accuse the right, politicians on the right that they don't have, policies to combat, the issues that I'm passionate about.
Okay, I mean, I could. I'm not knowledgeable. I don't know what the right is doing for homelessness. I could be on you. I could be on your side with that. I could agree. To say that the right don't care about babies, if you not caring about babies being killed is already they do care about babies. Now, I could probably dig in deeper. I mean, like, I could say that, yeah.
I don't want to talk about baby deletion because that's where it depends on what because we're never gonna solve that because some see it as some people see it as like, when does life start, and it differs. So like, I get that argument. That's why I didn't really want to bring up that the baby deletion, because you may see life starts at conception, right? Yeah. And while yeah, and I don't see it that way.
You brought it up. It's not like I brought it up, right? So that's not, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I'm not for it, but then I'm not for baby deletion, but then I'm not gonna then like vote in like a law that's that won't allow it or whatever, because I understand that, of course, as a woman, that like, shit happens, and so I don't think there should be any restriction on that. Well, there should be, of course, the common sense restriction, as in, you shouldn't get one past like a certain trimester or certain month, like that.
I mean, okay. I mean, we could dig in deep that, but we don't have to, because I'm definitely. I've always said this, right? I'm pro-choice, not pro-abortion. So
yes.
Definitely 100% against abortion, because I think it's pushes irresponsibility and unaccountability. But why I'm choice is that we're all adults. You want to do the stupid things you do, just do it if you want to.
Look at that, Steve. We both agree on that issue.
Yeah, I mean, I said it right. I mean, maybe our semantics is a bit different.
Yes.
Again, yeah, I do believe in life at conception. I do believe in it is killing babies, but I mean, like, you're adults. You do the crazy things you do. It's up to you. So I mean, whatever. But yeah, but it's like, again, it's why I say, okay, that again, the left, and here's my thing, right? If you I mean, let's say this, right? Maybe I can't. Do you view yourself strictly on the left, like solid on the left?
No, I'm a registered independent.
Okay.
I will vote for a Republican if a Republican is better than a Democrat. Yes.
Okay.
It's it's policies for me. It's not it's not the party. No, I'm not for a party.
Okay, I respect you for that. I love you for that. That's good. That's not bad. That's why that's why I say I'm more center right, even though I lean a little bit right. I can, if you make sense, I could definitely agree with it. Um, do you let's give a little basis, right? Have there been anything you criticize about the left?
Do you have any criticism? Oh, of course.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
if there isn't, I think like there's a lot of stuff that I'm that yeah, like I can't stand. You know, I can't stand that, like especially like when protesting, right? I don't like the whole the um the shit that always goes down when there's a huge protest. The damaging of buildings, and the getting all up in your face, the blocking of streets and stuff like that. It's like, because I feel like it hurts the cause, because like there's people that's trying to get to work, that's got things to do, and you're blocking the street and stuff like that. It's like, why are you doing that? Like that, I think that ends up like hurting the cause that you're trying to fight for. So yeah, like stuff like that I don't like at all.
I love that. I love that.
I don't like the women thing, the you
Okay.
know the pronoun, yeah, I don't like that. As a woman myself, yeah, I don't like that. And like I don't mind like if a trans gen- she if he if she wants to be um if she wants me to call her she, the she pronoun, I don't have a problem with that.
Hmm.
But don't then say you're more than you're more of a woman than me.
Hmm.
you know like,
Okay.
no, I'll have babies, like you don't. But then I don't mind calling you she, because because you feel like you're a she, and you dress and you look like a she. So yeah, I don't have a problem calling you she. But just like I said, don't kind of come at like my man. Don't try to say that, oh yeah, you have periods and stuff like that. No, I'm not doing that bullshit.
I mean, did you see the
I'm
video I
too old for
posted?
this shit.
Did you see the video I posted on that?
Oh
Where,
no,
well, I did post a short on a trans
people are
woman
still doing that.
that has a period. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Again, this is. I mean, like, this is why. And I'm glad that you said that. You're independent, right? Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, this is why I can't ever. It's hard for me to. And I've said this to plenty of people, right? I was a Democrat, full on. I signed up as a Democrat, right? But I why I completely left the Democratic Party is because one of the things that they have the most. I don't know. I'm being terrible, but the most mentally disturbed people, and it shows, right? If you have the most, honestly, the most mentally disturbed people, it's just like, I don't want to be a part of the party that honestly has these types of people on it, right? So yeah, I'm not
It's
crazy
all
about
perspective. I see more on the right, but again, that's what, like I said, it's all perspective. It's these on the left, it's more so like kids just trying to be seen, trying to be different, trying to be unique. And then on the right, it's more so like more so like ignorant, and mostly like well, see, I'm thinking about like it's sort of like Obamacare. No, they don't want Obamacare, but yeah, they want affordable health care act.
Well, let me be honest. I didn't think Obamacare was that helpful to people. I kind of, me
No,
personally,
yeah, no. I'm not saying the people that are criticizing it, they say they don't like Obamacare, but they like Affordable Health Care Act. That's the same thing.
yeah.
They just don't like it because it has Obama's name on it. See, that's what I mean by ignorant. And I think that's worse than kids just trying to seek for attention.
I mean, okay. I mean, if people don't like just the name, then I agree that's stupid. To be honest, I don't care about the whole act itself. I'm gonna be crazy, but I like what Trump is doing more with his healthcare plan.
He, he
But
doesn't have a health care plan.
he does. He passed with his with his big wonderful bill thing. It was a healthcare plan where drug prices will be just as it will be competitive, where it has to be transparent, where if it's lower in other places around the country or around the world, it should be just as much as that, so you can't overcharge drug prices. So yeah,
Okay,
Trump did.
I'll look into that. I didn't know that, so I'll look into that.
I mean, you should. I
Hmm.
mean, because this is the thing. Well, I'll tell you this, right? I'm not like, I don't call myself like Trump's fan, but I look at it on the outside looking in, where I could see the positives, right? I could see that the benefits. And again, how I look at it is, if it benefits Americans, I'm good. I'm happy for that. All right. That's where I go about it.
See, and this is what I mean by like just your chat alone. What I mean by like if you want to say like the left doesn't you know hates America, and I go the left is just a bunch of kids, college kids, complaining, seeking for attention, and on the right it's more so people of like our age or older
But see,
that really has hate, just like how it's like, oh, Obama was a Kenyan communist, really? See,
wait,
that's exactly what I mean. That's hate right there. And
I
Obama
don't
was a president.
I don't think so, because we have more. We do have a lot more. You got to think about this. We have
Oh,
a.
I'm not. No, no, don't do this. Don't tell me you agree with that. I can't believe you.
I'm not saying Obama is a communist. I'm saying that the left is the party that promotes communism, socialism. They promote it.
Yeah, because
They,
we care about people. We care about community.
but you can't say that. You can't say that. Okay, like, yeah, we care about community, so it's okay we promote this. But then, oh, how dare they say, the president of the left is a communist, right? You can't say, oh
So
my
you
God.
guys are calling the Obama leftist. I mean, a communist. We're not calling Obama a communist.
Well, I've not heard anyone call Obama but I could trust you.
Your chat just did.
Who?
Your chat just did.
don't don't just follow the
Oh, see,
chat.
look, calling me all sorts of names and stuff when we're just having like a conversation. This is exactly what I mean. And you want to
It's,
say like our people, the people on the left
well,
are, hate America to stuff. Yeah,
like I
I've
said,
not yet once, I've
you
just
got.
spoken my opinion, and yet I'm called a cunt and all this, independently stupid and stuff like that.
Oh,
Please, this is what I'm saying.
this is the thing where you gotta understand this.
See, it's like it's not the left, it's the right.
I mean, I can tell you this. Right? I could definitely show you plenty of videos. Right? This is how I go about it. Right? There's bad people on both sides. I never,
Yes.
yeah, I've
Hmm.
never said that. Oh my God, the right is like angels. No, that's stupid. I definitely would not say that. But again, the difference between someone on the chat saying something, I don't know, whatever. Between the difference is that if let's say hypothetically, right, I make a video and I'm saying terrible things to people, and then that video reaches thousands, if not millions, that's the difference, right? That's the difference between, let's say, comparing a chat on a stream, random people saying whatever they want, comparative to I look at it as creators, right? When a creator makes something, right? They push something, a media out, or a creator, or like, let's say, mainstream media, right? They push something out to thousands, if not millions of people, right? With a certain narrative. That's where I create the basis of my argument, right? How I say Democrats or leftists hate America, right? It's because people who push out certain viewpoints, not because of the chat. Because to be honest, to be faceless and just randomly say things in like a live stream, that's
That's what I don't.
not
I
that
know.
effective.
I get that. That's why I don't say that about. I usually don't say that. One hates America more than the other, because yeah, I am online a lot, just like how we're all online, and I'm not gonna take just some nobody just because they did a video about oh, I'm complaining about this and that, because I could say the same thing about this space, this red pill space, this manosphere space. Like I could go, oh, a bunch of men crying and stuff. Oh no, toxic masculinity, crying about that. Like I could be doing that too, but no, I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna just take somebody's, clip of them crying and go, "Oh, look at it. All men are like this. All women are like this." Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because nowadays, where people do anything for attention, they'll say anything for attention, for clout and attention. Yeah, like I'm not gonna believe 100% in what they're saying.
No, no, I agree. I mean, I don't ever believe 100% in saying, but you also
Mhm,
got to think about this where, and I agree to anyone holding people accountable is fine. But
mhm,
the point is why I said that it's when, like I said, right? If hypothetically, like I said, if I
mhm.
say crazy, like racist or sexist or whatever to, whatever, and then it reaches millions of people, that's different than if you see people in the chat. So why, like I said, why I build my basis is that, and why I think it's more important is that people who make content, that's what I'm talking about, right? So I see content creators. I mean, not even just content creators, politicians who, again, who are faces, right? That's why I say Democrats. That's what I view as politicians, right? Where they're in front of a camera saying things to thousands, if not millions, of people. That's the basis of my argument. Not if your chat, not if some random chatter, not if some troll online say shit, because it
Yeah.
doesn't mean nothing. Because the point is that it doesn't reach nobody, right? It doesn't. The best it reaches is just you, right? That's the best it reaches, right? So it doesn't reach nobody. The point is, it's the voice, right? It's the content, and that's what we
Hmm.
live in today's age, right? Social media is a very powerful tool. So why I say Democrats, and our preference is that it's not everyone, but why I say Democrats or the left is hate America is because the ones who are prominent, the ones who has a voice, or the ones who chooses to have a voice, right, chooses to make content, they perpetuate hate. And then
Or
since they,
maybe you just consume a lot of, leftist
yeah,
clips,
and yeah, I do preference it,
and
right?
you think that it's a lot, majority of the left when because you know how algorithm works.
No, I agree. That's why I preference it. But I also preference what, in the sense that it's a question, right? Prove to me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. To me wrong. Because to be honest, right? I mean, you did say a lot of things, right? And I agree that certain things that like homelessness, the right is not focusing on that and shit like that. But add on to, let's say, the media that I consumed, right? The left, and no one is proven to me otherwise, right? No one has proven to me otherwise that the left actually loves America, actually wants America to be better, in the sense that I
That's
believe
because you have your own set of metrics. You're not
well,
judging it overall. You know,
well,
I think I've
give me
given you like valid points why the left don't hate America, but because it's not measuring up to your metric, your standard. You seem to think that that we don't we hate America just because we're not carrying a a flag purse or something. We're not just because we don't say oh we love America. It's like yeah, you do have a lot of lefties say they love America. You got me and Alan.
well, I mean, you
Like this is my like I'm saying that you're a nationalist is actually yeah like sort of controversial because they seem to think that it's oh you're far right or whatever. Like I don't care. I'm an independent and I have no problem saying that I'm a nationalist because I care about our country.
I always wanted to take it apart from you. That's why I said, as
Hmm.
the, like, what do you think as the, like, I'm more saying that, like, you see the party, right? You see the left group, you see the Democratic Party. That's why I don't. How I always talk about it is, let's not make it personal, because the
Hmm.
problem is that okay, you could disprove to be wrong, because yeah, you could say you love America. Okay, well then, okay, I'm not talking about you, right? That's why I'm not talking about the individual, right? I'm not talking about the individual, because again, yes, there's always exceptions, but that's why I say I've seen so much content, and I get the basis that it could be the algorithm, but I've seen personally so much content that shows me otherwise, that Democrats and the left, and I could show it to you too, but we'll probably be ending soon,
Because
right?
we want change. But what is Trump's
See,
what you call it? What is Trump
but
his theme or whatever? Make America great again, as in change. So it's okay for you guys to make your changes, but it's not okay for us to make our changes. And if we want changes, oh, leave America. No, motherfucker. I'm a citizen. You
Here's
leave
my
America
here's my
because I
thing.
want America to be better, just like you.
Well,
It's like
well,
that's
well.
why sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's why I get frustrated. I'm sorry. I should stay out of chat. I'm sorry.
Yes, stay out
I'm
of chat.
reading chat too, So
Stay out of chat. They're trolls.
yeah, I'll stop. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that this is what I'm saying is that I believe when, let's say, Trump's rhetoric is that because so many people on the left, so many
Hmm.
Democrats believe that we are racist, believe that we are sexist, believe we're homophobic, believe all these stuff. I see why they say make America great again, because we're not that. So make it like whether you know what, I'm not even like, I don't even think I'm MAGA and the shit of that, because I believe that we are already great. My problem is that people should stop thinking that we are terrible and we need to change, right? We can improve, but we are an amazing country. That's where I come from. And that's how I view it. I'm not even thinking about Trump and shit like that. That's not my viewpoint, right? That's not how I'm going about it, right? I'm more saying
It
that
goes back.
I
I'm sorry.
believe it's
Go ahead.
great. I believe America's great. And when I see the left talk, I'm saying the talking heads, anyone who is on social media, when I see the left talk, they only talk about how terrible America is. They only talk about how, they want to, I don't know, just destroy or disrupt, or how America is so they talk about like terrible things about America. So it only shows you how much hate they have for America. And because on the flip side, they don't say nothing about they don't say anything about improving America, right? They don't, in my view, how I see it, they don't say anything about improving America. They just say how
That
terrible
doesn't
America.
make sense though. Why would they say it's terrible? The reason why they say it's terrible because there's problems you know, and we refuse to address it. And when you keep having to tell them that there's a problem, there's a problem, and they keep going, no, 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 there's not a problem. You don't think, they're gonna, you know, develop some sort of like attempt, like I don't get it.
Here, and let me make it sense for you, right? I said this before. I already said it before, right? This is how the Democratic Party gets their basis, by telling you there's a problem. Because
There
why?
is a problem.
But
We we we
okay,
we had this. We just had this discussion. There is a problem, though.
the problem, racism. I already told you that isn't a problem. What problem is sexism? What a problem homophobia? None of those are a problem. And again, to the insanity,
But that's
how
not
the
majority of
Democratic
the
Party can
leftists that are
celebrate racism.
saying that, though. So why are you saying? Why are you making it seem like the left majority are saying that that's are saying that
I hope you're not
they're
reading this.
not.
What do you mean they're not?
No, this is a lot of times. When we have this these type of conversations, we we talk about like social problems, and then we bring in like policies and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it gets like sort of like confused again. You know, the left.
Are you still there? Are you still?
Yeah. Okay. Can you start? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know if that was my internet, but if it is, I apologize.
no, that's fine.
Um, no, there are a few people that experience racism, individually, and so they go online and they tell their story, right? And then all of a sudden, people, like say it becomes a viral video, and then people go, oh, look at it, America's being racist and stuff. Yeah, like let them. They could, yeah, they're gonna say that, but on a majority scale, people gonna go, oh yeah, it's because of America. No, that was probably like your one-off experience. So you shouldn't then go, America as a whole is like that.
Yeah.
See, and then so that's what I'm saying. That's why like you're not gonna hear me go, just because a man goes, like he has a bad experience with a woman, so he goes, he makes a clip and says this about women. And I see that video, and I'm not gonna go, oh look at this, this guy, he's doing this and this and this. Maybe he's doing this. That's what the woman's doing like this. Like no, I'm not gonna think, just because your one-off experience, might have traumatized you or might have, like messed you up or whatever. Don't then go, don't then like paint it with a broad brush is what I'm saying. Because I don't do that.
I agree. I'm not.
Mhm.
Here's my. I'm not. Why I say I'm not painting with a broad brush, and I preference it that I don't believe everyone. I don't believe like it's all right. I'm not saying all.
Yeah, but you seem to think that majority of the left hate
Uh,
America, though.
Because here's the thing where
It's not
uh,
when majority of the left aren't. And majority of people on both sides are just working. They're trying to work. They're trying to pay their
okay,
bills and stuff like that.
okay. Let me. Okay, then yeah, you're right. You're right. Let me. I'll be. I'll be more precise in my word. Majority of the uh vocal left. Right.
People online.
Yeah.
Okay, like if you say people online, maybe
Anyone who, because here's the thing, anyone who you could see a video of, right? Because even protesters, right? They will say shit about America. They will burn the American flag. They will support Iran. They will, wish death on our president, right? They will vocalize hate towards America. And maybe it's not the majority of the left, but when you have, like I said, content where someone on the left is saying vile shit or hating on America, and then you get comments, thousands of comments to say that, yeah, we agree, or that death to America, what all that shit. I can't help believe that, you know what, maybe it is majority, right? Because let's say even
okay,
if you
okay. By your logic, then, when Obama was president, right, the
Mhm.
people on the right, kept going, "Oh, he's not legitimate because he's not so-called born here." Show the birth certificate. Donald Trump was, uh, you know, was the head of that movement. What do you
Well,
think? What do you think that is? Would you say that's racist?
racist, no.
Yeah, our first black president, and you're gonna go, "Oh, he's not from here." When
Here's how
he's a citizen.
I could disapprove that, because majority of Americans voted for Obama.
No, I'm talking about people on the right.
Well, but here's the thing: you got to think, right?
No. I'm talking about people on the right that
I know.
talked about that said that about Obama.
Yes, but you got to also think that people
Are
that,
they racist?
if they're saying Obama's not born here,
Yes.
I don't know if I would say that's racist.
Oh, see. Okay then.
I mean, it's like you got to think: is that racist, or is that like maybe cultural? I mean, because he doesn't have, like, let's say a typical black person's name, so I don't know if they're attacking his race. They're probably talking his heritage, in the sense that
Oh
they,
no.
but
You know what? Yeah, I
DNA.
can't believe we're doing that. Okay.
I mean,
Uh,
like,
uh, uh,
I'm looking at things like, because to say that the right is thinking he's racist, when majority of Americans did vote for him.
I'm
So
not
I'm not,
talking about majority of Americans. I'm talking about the people on the right.
but that includes people on the right.
No, I'm talking specifically about the people on the
They,
right that had a problem with Obama.
they
That
probably, yeah.
said that he's not what you call legitimate because he's not from America.
Well, I mean, it's like, do you? I mean, okay. Do you believe? I mean, I didn't look into it, but do you believe that, all presidents
Why would
should be American born? I mean, like, some people might be. I'm not now. If they're stupid and thinking that he's not
that's a
American born,
requirement?
yes. So that's what I'm saying. If they're being
So
stupid,
why would they then question Obama though?
Paul because his name is different.
You know it, yeah. You just don't want to say it.
Well, okay. I mean, maybe like you could say, I'm how I view it, right? Me personally, right? How I view it is that people being stupid because they think his name is like Middle Eastern or whatever, so they're being stupid. I mean, yeah, I guess you could equate it to racist, but it's like,
Yeah, but
okay,
but my point is that just because you have people on the right that believe that about Obama, I'm not going to then go. People on the right hate America.
yeah, but you gotta think of this, right? We have people who believe flat Earth. We have stupid people. So what? Right? Hey, it's like that's the problem I see. Like, okay, I mean, yeah, the problem is like we do have plenty of stupid people. I don't even, so that's why that's my thing where
They don't
uh
say the left hates America. Just say there's a lot of stupid people on the left. Then we both are.
here's
You
my
got a
thing
deal.
here's my thing where uh um I would, and I mean, I love that you called out, the protesting stuff, right?
Hmm.
The problem is that we don't have people calling that shit out, right? The stupid people out. That's my thing. This is why I said it's not just the vocal, right? It's not the vocal. It's not the one who's to say shit. It's also the one who has the power to say shit and don't say shit. So sometimes, like, I don't, I'm not, I'm just giving crazy examples, but like the Dean Withers or whatever, these people, they will either, if they don't back these people up, they will just not talk about them, right? But they will easily talk about anyone on the right if they say stupid shit too. So it's more, my thing is like, okay, one, you have leftists that say, leftists and Democrats that say crazy, hateful shit. I'm not saying that's it makes it as all of them, but then you have Democrats and leftists or liberals that don't say that's stupid. I don't condone that, or that's not right, or because literally I see let's say I see people on the left saying Iran is we support Iran, or Iran should go attack our president, kill our president, and then we also have like leftist comment or Democrat commentators saying, oh, Iran is like suffering all this shit, but we don't have anyone, right? At least personally, right? My algorithm on the left saying that's stupid. What are you talking about? They're a dictatorship. They're authoritarian. They're a terrible, regime. So to hell if they get attacked, right? Because they should. They oppress women. They oppress people of the LGBT community. They kill protesters. So no, I don't agree. With these, we should not be like. That's what I'm saying, right? So that's what I see. Right? And that's a clear example of what I'm talking about. Why I put the prompt as, okay, left hates America, because one, the left says shit, and then two, people on the left do not disown or call out the bad apples. So then you let the bad apples be the representation of your group. That's how I see it, and that's why I put the prompt in like that.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, yeah, maybe more people on the left should should call out the bullshit when like when it happens, so that way like it matters and it shows that like because when like if it's wrong, then it's just wrong. It shouldn't matter whether you're left, center, or right. Right. So I do understand. Yeah, I do get that. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. But I don't see like the right calling out their side also. And so I guess it just it just comes down to perspective, I guess, because I don't ever see the right like calling out their side. The
I
only
mean,
s- the only thing that the right calls out, and even sometimes they don't, is when it comes to Nick.
well, I mean,
And even with him, like you guys agree with like with with his takes,
uh, to be honest,
which is very racist.
but still, he does. I mean, literally, you just showed a big. I don't agree with Nick Fuentes, but I mean, and that's who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Funny dude.
I,
You
I,
know, he's funny and entertaining, but you know, he
I
has
think,
very like
yeah, I think
his
he's just.
ideology is oof.
But literally that just show you that we do have it, right? Candace Owens, supposedly was on the right. She does call out Trump. We have Tucker. We do have, like, literally, I can name you a bunch of that do call out the right, whether I agree with them or not. These are people who are presumably on the right, and they do call out the party. So it's kind of like disproves your point.
No, no, they don't call him out when it matters. Just like
No,
how
you can't do that, right? You can't do it when it matters.
no, no, you just said that about the left. You said the left don't
I
call
said
out,
they
you know.
don't
And I'm
call out
like, yeah, and I agree with you. The left doesn't call, you know, when it's
I'm not
wrong. The
saying when
left
it
doesn't call them
matters.
out when it matters.
I'm saying the left doesn't call them out at all. I don't see anyone. I mean, besides you, I'm not saying that's why I'm not saying everyone, but anyone who has a voice, I don't see them calling out anything. Right? I don't see them disagreeing about anything. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying when it matters. Give me a
The
criticism.
left is
The left that
fractured.
criticizes
So how can you say the left doesn't call out the left?
what that fracturedness. Well, you just leave their bad apples being your representation. That's the problem too.
No, that's how you take it though. That's how
Well,
you are perceiving it as that
again,
way.
that's
There's people that don't perceive it that way. There are people that
fine.
perceive Nick Fuentes as the leader for the right. But I'm not gonna believe just because one person thinks that way of the right. I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, again, the
That's what I'm saying. It
problem,
comes down to perspective.
and I don't disagree. I don't disagree
Hmm.
about perspective, but that's why I made the perspective of myself. That's why But
Yes.
it is fine. I don't want to. We've gone on for a while. I love the conversation, right? The chat is they wanted to come. I wanted to bring you guys on. I mean, the link is up in the front, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, I don't. I got to end the stream, right? Can't be too late. I still have work tomorrow, right? So I can't let the stream go on for forever. I know my chat doesn't like you, but that's all good. Um,
See,
it's
see how
hey.
get why just because I have a difference of opinion. See now who hates who here?
Here's the thing where the
I know.
point
I'm
is,
just kidding. I'm not
yeah.
gonna
The point
judge you just because of your chat. Yeah,
the
don't worry
point is,
about it.
I want to give people a voice, whether we like it
Yeah,
or not,
and I
and
really
that's
appreciate that.
right? Yeah, that's the point. I hope that, you know what, one thing I want to say to you is that I hope that you could,
Mm.
if you want, I know it's a long stream, rewatch it and listen to my points, right? Because I honestly believe that, I'm not saying that, oh, listen to my points so you could change, be on the right or whatever shit. That's not what I'm saying. But listen to my points and say that, you know what, maybe, um, the left uh, isn't doing their job of what they're supposed to do. And that's how I went to it. But when I was a Democrat, I looked at it as, you know what? It's not like, oh, Democrats are terrible, I'm going to go to the right. No, I think Democrats are terrible, and just proved my point that both sides aren't that great. And it's like, you know what? It's like, I'm just disappointed in one side a lot. So that's how I want to, if you ever have the chance, rewatch it and think that, you know what? Didn't literally, and because this is my thing where you also want to back the left, which, to be honest, I don't think you should. I'm not saying that you should go to the right, but I'm saying that I just think that, the left is honestly the the vocal left, the ones that have voices, are absolutely insane group of people. So that's how
I know. All it takes is just one bad apple to ruin it for the rest. I totally get that.
Very true.
Yes.
True. Very true.
But I definitely will. I definitely will rewatch it and listen to your points and even know your conversation with Alan. And so I certainly will do that. Do that for sure.
Yes, guys. I know some of you guys wanted to come on. I'm sorry, but I gotta go to bed too. That's why I tried to only have like one person at a time. I mean, the link was all the way at the front, but I mean, like, I prefer just one person at a time right now, because then we could go on for hours with so many people talking. But that is it for tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys. Zyrax, I want to do this more often, right? I think is a great thing that we share.
Yeah, I'll be back definitely.
The red
Mhm.
pill or manosphere. I love talking because I'm definitely critical of feminism, and I know you have some views of that too. So, I mean, if you ever check out my other content, if you disagree with anything that I say on my other videos, please, write it down and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation on it. I love having a conversation, particularly with people, and you're intelligent women, right? Definitely not a misogynist, right? So, I love talking to you. So that's why
Likewise.
thank you for having it, right? And we need to share different viewpoints, even to the audience, right? So that's not a bad thing.
Yes, I agree
Right?
too. And thank you for having me on. I know, like, yeah, your chat don't like me just
Yeah, it's
because I
all
have
good, right?
different, just because I have different,
Yeah,
different opinions. But it is what it is. And I'm sorry if you end up losing subscribers because of me. I'm terribly sorry.
it's all good. I want to promote people who, it's fine that we don't have to agree on everything. Right? But that's it.
All
Guys,
right. Have a good night, D, and have a good night, chat. Later.
bye. Guys, let's not. I mean, like, again, I want to think where I definitely, I can say this 100%. I don't agree with her, right? I think a lot of her views are problematic. She hasn't changed my views, and to be honest, none of the things she said actually changed anything. But again, I mean, yeah, I mean, I disagree with her, everything she said, but it's like the point is not to, you know, not listen to people you disagree with, right? We should be able to do it, right? I think that, you know, uh, my chat is, more logical, less emotional, so we shouldn't just credit people we disagree with, right? So, guys, that is it for tonight, right? Red Door, I love you, my sister. Lizzie, I love you too. You are crazy tonight, right? AJ, thank you for just stopping by. I'm sorry you couldn't join, right? It was towards the tail end, right? The guys yes, Lizzie, you were crazy in the chat, right? You were crazy in the chat. Brent, I love you. Steve, I love you. Everyone else, you guys are amazing. Definitely, we'll have a more, bigger panel next time. Be nice, Dizzy. Yes, I wish it was nice. Yeah, I mean, like, I 100% disagree with her on racism, right? And that's what a problem I have with them. She did. She definitely got triggered by you. Dizzy, you definitely triggered her. You definitely triggered her. So you definitely were getting under her skin. You are a crazy girl. All right, guys, I love you. All right, later.